1990 as the Red Sox play host to the Detroit Tigers. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Sean McDonough, along with Bob Montgomery. We're delighted to have you with us as the Red Sox begin their 16th season of playing baseball on TV 38. Roger Clemens against Jack Morris, and there's plenty of excitement here today, Monty, even though opening day is 1 week late.
It's a week late, Sean, but I think everybody is in the proper mood. I think the players in the proper mood, and certainly an opening day has that extra adrenaline flowing for you. That fastball seems to be just a bit faster, and hopefully for the hitters, the swing will be just quick enough. The big thing, though, is to find out if the Red Sox can win 90 in 90. I think that maybe could be a key.
And the Detroit Tigers and Sparky Anderson hoping that they won't lose 103 as they did last year. When they were 59 and 103, they had the worst record in all of Major League Baseball. The starting pitchers this afternoon, Roger Clemens making his third straight opening day start for the Red Sox. For the Tigers, it's veteran Jack Morris. He's starting for the 11th straight year on opening day for Detroit. Now for the pregame festivities, let's go to public address announcer Sherm Feller.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the home opener of the Boston Red Sox 90th American League season. And welcome also to the Red Sox opponents today, the Detroit Tigers. Leading the Tigers is the manager, number 11, Sparky Anderson. And today's Tigers batting order, leading off with number 4, third baseman Tony Phillips. Number 3, the shortstop, Alan Trammell. Number 1, the second baseman, Lou Whitaker. Number 45, first baseman Cecil Fielder. Number 17, center fielder Lloyd Mosby. Number 33, the catcher, Matt Noakes. Number 32, the left fielder, Gary Ward. Number 34, right fielder, Chet Lemon. Number 14, designated hitter, Dave Bergman. And the pitcher, warming up in the right field bullpen, number 47, Jack Morris. And now the rest of the 1990 Detroit Tigers. Let's give them a nice hand, folks. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the 1990 Boston Red Sox. Leading the Red Sox is our manager, number 35, Joe Morgan. Today's Red Sox batting order, leading off, third baseman Wade Boggs, number 26. Number 17, second baseman Marty Barrett. Number 39, the left fielder Mike Greenwell. Number 12, center fielder Ellis Burke. Number 24, the designated hitter Dwight Evans. Number 13, the first baseman, Billy Joe Robideau. Number 6, the catcher, Tony Pena. Number 3, shortstop Jody Reed. And number 16, right fielder Kevin Romine. The pitcher warming up in the bullpen in right center field, number 21, Roger Clemens. Now in numerical order, the rest of the Red Sox. Number 2, infielder Luis Rivera. Number 5, outfielder Randy Kutcher. Number 10, the catcher Rich Gedman, who's in the bullpen. Number 15, pitcher Dennis Lamp. Number 18, Carlos Quintana. Number 19, Dana Kicker. Number 20, the catcher John Malzano. Number 22, infielder Bill Buckner. Number 27, pitcher Greg Harris. Number 29, Danny Heap. And now the coaches. Number 32, Richie Hebner. Number 33, Dick Berardino. The pitching coach, Bill Fisher, is in the bullpen. Rack Slider. And number 37, Coach Al Bumbry. The pitchers, John Dobson, number 40. Number 41, pitcher Jeff Reardon. Number 44, pitcher Wes Gardner. Number 47, pitcher Rob Murphy. Pitcher 48, Lee Smith. Number 52, pitcher Mike Boddicker. And number 54, pitcher Mike Rochford. And now the Red Sox trainer, Charlie Moss. Physical therapist, Rich Zawacki. And Red Sox equipment manager, Don Fitzpatrick. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise as we honor America with the national anthem, sung by J. Mark McVeigh, who is starring as Jean Valjean in Les Miserables at the Schubert Theater.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
What an invigorating start to the 1990 baseball season. We'll be back with the ceremonial first pitch from Fenway Park right after this.
We're looking. We're looking. Yes, we are looking. Come on. I'm just looking for a push.
After 7 years in boarding school, he was hoping for love and affection.
Hi, Dad.
Gentlemen, this is my son.
But his parents only needed his help to win an election.
United States Senate.
You're our little ace in the hole, buddy.
I can't believe this. I'm an orphan with parents.
Now he's doing his best to smooth things over and become the model son. John Cryer and Lynn Redgrave in Morgan Stewart's Coming Home. Tuesday night at 8 on TV 38.
This could be the year the Bruins break through. The Boston Bruins face off against the Hartford Whalers in Game 3 of the Adams Division semifinals, Monday night at 7:30 on TV 38. The true story filmed on board the ship where it happened. Voyage of Terror, the Achille Lauro Affair, a movie loft event, coming to TV 38 Tuesday, May 1st.
Mrs. Tony Giamatti, widow of former baseball commissioner Bart Giamatti, will throw out the first pitch of the 1990 championship season.
We'll throw out today's first pitch.
Obviously, Tony Pena said something that moved Mrs. Giamatti quite a bit. Now today's starting lineups brought to you by your New England Ford dealers, where quality dealers deliver low prices every day. For the Detroit Tigers, Tony Phillips leads off at third base. Alan Trammell is the shortstop. Lou Whitaker at second base. Cecil Fielder, back from Japan and now a member of the Tigers, at first base, batting cleanup. Newcomer Lloyd Mosby in center field, batting fifth. Matt Noakes is the catcher. Gary Ward in left field. Chet Lemon in right field.
And Dave Bergman is the DH, batting ninth. For the Red Sox, Wade Boggs at third base. Marty Barrett at second base. Mike Greenwell in left field. Ellis Burks, the center fielder, batting cleanup. Dwight Evans, the DH. Ware, Massachusetts native Billy Joe Robideau at first base, batting sixth. Tony Pena is the catcher. Jody Reed, the shortstop. And Kevin Romine in right field, batting ninth. The umpires just now coming onto the field. The veteran crew working this season opener for all of Major League Baseball as the Tigers and Red Sox, the first game of the 1990 season. Larry Barnett, the crew chief, back at the plate. Greg Kosk at first. Rocky Rowe at second. And Dan Morrison is the umpire at third base.
Greg Kosk.
And there are those gentlemen. Barnett on the left. He'll have the plate for Roger Clemens and Jack Morris this afternoon. Red Sox trying to snap a 4-game losing streak on opening day as they take on the Detroit Tigers. 2 years ago, it was Sparky Anderson's Tigers that sent the Red Sox down to the feet on opening day on a home run by Alan Trammell. The Red Sox have lost their last 4 openers. Last year, of course, the Red Sox were in Baltimore and they lost 5-4 in 11 innings. Bob Stanley was the losing pitcher in that ball game. And as we mentioned, in '88, they lost to Detroit 5-3 in 10 innings when Lee Smith allowed a 2-run homer in the 10th to Alan Trammell. Sparky Anderson and Rack Slider exchanging the lineup cards. Sparky said he was not put on this earth to lose 103 games, and he expects that there's no way the Tigers will again lose 103 ball games, but they have Jack Morris healthy. A couple of other folks who weren't healthy last year, they hope are healthy, but it doesn't seem as though they've made enough significant changes to improve very much, maybe a little.
I don't think they have, Sean. They have lost a very good defensive player in Gary Pettis. They have added some thump with Fielder's bat at first base. They like him. They like him quite a bit. And Sparky says he's not going to play switch him around defensive moves with Fielder. He likes them that much, so he wants his bat in the ball game late in innings to possibly give him some of that punch. Sparky Anderson been exchanging lineup cards in the major league since 1970 when he first took over as a 35-year-old manager for the Cincinnati Reds.
As some of you might have read, this is a look from our new camera position. Actually, our original camera position, and the camera behind home plate has returned to a much lower position than it occupied last year. Last season, it was up here in the clouds with us in the press box. Now it has returned to the level of the former press box down below the 600 club. So those of you who did not enjoy the higher coverage from the home plate camera last year, that problem has been solved, and I'm one of those, and I know you are too, who's glad to see that camera back down there.
I'm trying to figure out a way to get us a desk and a couple of microphones and a monitor down there to sit with Mike Sosha, who runs that camera for us.
We will miss Mike.
Yes.
But just looking at that booth, you're right. If we long for the good old days. Hello, Michael. He's back for about his 80th year of running the camera.
He's had more openings than Sparky, hasn't
yes,
he?
Yes, he has. And we also, as we look at the field, should tip our cap to Joe Mooney and his ground crew. It has been an up and down winter, as we know, weather-wise here in New England, but the field is in beautiful condition. And the Red Sox are about to take the field for the first time in 1990. Bill Buckner, you could see the emotion in his face. Wasn't it nice to see the hand that he got?
It was some kind of reception. One that I don't think you would have expected to be maybe not quite that strong, but certainly you would expect to get the fine reception that Buckner got.
Boston Red Sox.
Roger Clemens strolling to the mound under beautiful conditions. Just a couple of thin, wispy clouds overhead. Temperature in the high 50s. We could get as high as the low 60s today, but ideal conditions, better than you probably have a right to expect on April 9th.
Well, the Red Sox played a tune on the Detroit Tigers last year. They won 11 of the 13 meetings, and Roger Clemens had a bit to do with that. He faced them twice, and he beat the Tigers both times, giving them just 4 earned runs in those 2 starts. while striking out 13 along the way. 17 and 11 last year for the Rocket Man with a 3.13 earned run average. 35 starts for the right-hander with some minor problems. The elbow bothered him for a while. The rib cage was bothering him for a while. But of all the pitchers who will make an opening day start today, I would say that Roger Clemens is as prepared as any of them. He did have a 7-inning stint in Florida. He seemed to be quite sharp, and if anything, fooled me a bit with the sharpness of his control. And of course, we know Roger as a power control type pitcher, a rare mixture that you get, but Clemens is very sharp. At least it looked to be that way coming out of spring training. Roger will have a supporting cast today that will be made up of a defense. Last year, the Red Sox finishing tied for 6th in defense as they fielded 980. We'll go to the outfield with Mike Greenwell, Ellis Burks, and Kevin Romine getting the start in right field this afternoon. In the infield, it'll be Boggs at third, Reed and Barrett, the Keystone combination, with newcomer Billy Joe Robideau getting the starting assignment over at first. And the National League All-Star catcher, Tony Pena, will handle the duties behind the plate for Roger Clemens. Red Sox last year, a total of 127 errors. They turned 162 double plays. So they will need some of that defense, Sean, I feel surely, when they leave to go on the road, and especially with their 4th and 5th starter combination, you can make up maybe with some shortcomings there by playing some very sharp defense. And the Red Sox are going to need that regardless of whether they're in or out of Fenway Park as far as those 4th and 5th starters are concerned.
Larry Barnett to the mound, and he seems to be indicating that it is okay for the pitchers today to go to their mouth with their hand. Isn't really that cold, but Larry's going to allow it anyway. Opening day in Boston. Certainly one of the most eagerly awaited days of the year every year.
Leading off for the Tigers,
on the calendar of most New England sports fans.
Tony Phillips.
Tony Phillips will lead off for Detroit in his first regular season at bat for the Tigers. He's the third baseman. Trammell and Whitaker will also hit in the first. And the 90 season is underway with strike one over to Phillips. You notice the black armband. The Red Sox will wear the black armbands throughout the 1990 season in memory of Tony Conigliaro. 0-2 now to Phillips. .60 degrees at game time. And the 1990 baseball season officially begins at 1:23. Inside, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
That's one pitch I expect to see a lot more from Roger Clemens this year when he's way up in the count, especially the 0-2 situation. I think you're going to see more hitters moving their feet than you've seen in the past. Because of his good control, a lot of hitters won't give Clemens much ground, and he feels that he needs to get a bit of that plate. That may be an indication of it early there with Phillips.
Popped up in foul ground off third. 1 out. Just a slight breeze as the ball game begins, and what breeze there is blowing out at the moment toward left center field.
The shortstop, Trammell.
Now Alan Trammell. Trying to bounce back after a variety of injuries have limited his action over the last couple of seasons. Last year he appeared in just 121 games, which was a career low for a full season. And just as he jumped ahead of Phillips 0-2, Clemens has moved ahead of Alan Trammell, no balls and 2 strikes.
So I got the nickname Rocket there because that's what that pitch was, just a rare back and let it fly. I'd have to say that may have been about 92, maybe 93 mile per hour fastball.
Just outside. first base seats. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Trammell along with Lou Whitaker, who will bat next. They are starting their 13th straight season as the Tigers' regular shortstop and second base combination, and that is a major league record. That pitch just missed. Clemens upset at the lack of a strike call. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 1 out, bases empty. Just underway in the top of the first inning. And that pitch is low. Trammell has worked back from an 0-2 count to a full count. Not only have they spent 13 seasons together now as the double play combination for the Tigers, but they have maintained numerous similarities, despite the fact that both Trammell and Whitaker have been bothered by injuries during their careers. 3-2 pitch. Looped into center field. Ellis Burks is there. 2 outs.
Gives me a pretty good idea, Sean, of how sharp Clemens feels that he is, along with his catcher, Tony Pena, because the very get-go, you know, he's already demonstrated a good fastball, but his first 3-2 count to a very good fastball hitter, they go with the breaking ball. All you want to do with this breaking ball, not make a terrific breaking ball pitch with it, is get it in the strike zone, because the hitter automatically is defensive once that ball starts to break on it. Gets the job done.
Now the other half of that wonderful double play combination for the Tigers over the last 13 years. Lou Whitaker looks at a strike.
Pena may not have had time to break in a new mitt during spring training because it was short. He'll complete the job, the task of breaking it in his first inning, maybe.
On the ground, Marty Barrett with his first chance of the season. And the Tigers go in order in the top of the first. After half an inning at Fenway Park, it's the Tigers nothing, and the Red Sox are coming up.
I put up with this for so long. I can't take any more of this. Your kids are afraid of you now. I'm afraid of you. You've got to do something about this. If you don't get help today, I'm leaving tonight, and I mean it. I mean it this time.
Are drugs and alcohol destroying your family? Call Seminole Point Hospital at 1-800-633-4000.
You are what you eat. What's true for man is true for machines. Starting the day right can make a difference. Get Mobil Super Unleaded Plus. Its detergent formula can unclog vital engine parts. For power and performance, drive your engine clean with Mobil Super Unleaded Plus. Get a box of hefty cinch sack trash bags with every fill-up of 8 gallons or more of Mobil Super Unleaded Plus.
Fans, you have a chance to win every time a Red Sox player hits a home run on a TV 38 televised game. To enter, and it's very easy. Just send your name and address on a postcard to TV 38 Pepsi Home Run Sweepstakes, Box 500, Boston.
Defensively, the Detroit Tigers this afternoon have Chet Lemon in right field. Lloyd Mosby is the center fielder, and Gary Ward in left. Around the infield, Tony Phillips at third, Alan Trammell at short, Lou Whitaker at second base, and Cecil Fielder is the first baseman. Matt Noakes is the catcher. And starting for the 11th straight season on opening day for Detroit, veteran right-hander Jack Morris.
The pitcher of the 80s was Jack Morris, 162 wins in that decade of baseball. Made just 1 start against the Red Sox last year, and that was a loss. Oil Can Boyd beat him 4-2 over in Detroit in that ball game. Morris roughed around a bit for 11 hits in those 9 innings, but Morris has the ability, as you may imagine, over those 162 wins in the 80s, to get you out when he doesn't have his very best stuff. He's worked quite a bit on a straight change this spring. If anything, I think he would probably suffer more from a lack of control now at this point in his career than, let's say, a Roger Clemens was today. At one time, Jack Morris could really just stand back and fire. Although he still has a very good fastball, he would require a bit more sharpness with most of his pitches. Jack, last year, won 6 and lost 14 in a very, very down year for him. He was injured, had some arm problems, some elbow problems, and a lot of people, baseball people, even people on his ball club and many other scouts, they feel that the split-finger fastball may have led to some of that tenderness in the arm, and maybe we won't see quite as many from Morris or a lot of other pitchers in the 90s as we saw in the 80s. They seem to be a change to more of a straight change-up to use as an off-speed pitch as opposed to the split-finger fastball.
We talked a bit about that during our spring training telecast, the trend away from the split-finger fastball because of the strain that it puts on one's arm.
What the split-fingered fastball really did, and the reason they came up with it, Sean, the straight change oftentimes caused deceleration in the pitcher's arm, and that puts pressure up on the shoulder. So they come up with a pitch that took the acceleration to throw it properly. They took the pain away from the shoulder, but they moved it to someplace else, it's thought, and of course that's the elbow area.
No score as the Red Sox come up in the home half of the first.
Third baseman, number 26, Wade Boggs.
And Wade Boggs, appropriately, is the first Red Sox hitter of the 90s. Morris snips the outside corner, strike one. Wade Boggs enters this season needing just 3 hits for 1,600 in his career. Looks at a ball high. 1 ball and 1 strike. Boggs, Barrett, and Greenwell against Jack Morris in the first inning. Morris was on the disabled list for exactly 2 months last year, May 24th, July 24th. And Boggs begins the season with a base hit to right field.
.199 to go.
That's right.
And it looked like an off-speed pitch that Boggs gets the bat out in front on. And if spring training was some kind of an indication, you may see a bit more of Boggs pulling the ball, taking advantage maybe of working against that shift that's employed against him so often. And Barrett finds himself in the opportune spot. Man at first, a hole in that right side. Some ground to move the ball around the park end.
Barrett with Boggs on the move. Ripped it into center field. Boggs on his way to third. Joe Morgan trying to make things happen right away. Had Boggs running with the first pitch to Barrett. And the Red Sox have runners at the corners with nobody out in the first.
Hard to say if Barrett puts this on so many times himself, but whatever it is, it's a fine play at this point in the ball game. You want to put a club on defense quickly. If you can get those people at scoring position, first and third, nobody out, Boggs will quickly check on the ball, pick it up, and he's headed to third easily. And now Greenwell has the hole to work on the right side.
Mike with a little pop-up in shallow left field. Boggs is not even tagging as Ward battled the sun. And that's the first out of the inning. Greenwell a little bit anxious, swinging at the first pitch and popping out to shallow left.
Number 12, Ellis Burks. Outfielder Burks.
Now Ellis Burks hit .333 in spring training with 2 home runs. He drove in 10, going 15 for 45. His season, as Red Sox fans well recall, ended last September 6th when he collided with Mike Greenwell in the outfield in Oakland. Strike one. That shoulder certainly did not seem to be bothering Ellis Burks during spring training.
I looked at it more for his throwing than anything else, and the arm seemed to be just about right up to standards with him.
Pitch bounced well out in front of the plate, blocked nicely by Noakes.
Put a star by his name, Sean. That's one of the toughest of all pitches for the catcher to block because it hits so far in front of you, it's hard to determine exactly what that ball is going to do. Looks like the split-fingered fastball, or maybe a hard slider from Morris there, more so on the turn of the wrist. But see Noakes quickly get himself out and nice and square, prevent that ball from getting by.
Boggs the runner at third. Barrett at first. 1 out, bottom of the first, no score. Check swing and a ball just a bit low and outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Morris lost his first 6 starts in 1989. Hoping to get off on the right foot today. Straight change, high and tight. 3 balls and 1 strike with Dwight Evans waiting on deck.
Well, everything is favoring the hitter, especially here at Fenway at this time of the year with the flag blowing out to center field. That's really uncommon. And the fact that the pitchers have not had enough innings of work.
Little pop-up. Cecil Fielder and Lou Whitaker in foul ground. Fielder dropped the ball. And the Red Sox catch the first big break of the 1990 season.
Plenty of room, plenty of time. No reason for Fielder to mishandle this one. He just simply has the ball go off the top of his glove. Couldn't squeeze it. And check that there's only one hand up in the area of that glove. Isn't that something? Al Morris has got to come back and really do something effective. This is a play like that can just, boy, I mean, that can take it out of you quickly.
And Burks walks, looking at ball 4 low. So instead of runners at the corners and 2 outs, the bases are loaded with 1 out. Sparky Anderson saw a lot of that kind of baseball last year as his team went 59 and 103.
Well, they were 10th in defense last year too, Sean. They made 130 errors. That's way down the list for them. Sparky Anderson had that problem about 5 years ago with a really bad defensive ball club, and they seemed to fix that up and patch it up in spots. But right here today, they start off with a what could be a very costly error. And here we are again at Joe Morgan's bases loaded situation, and the Red Sox in their strong inning scoring last year.
Dwight Evans in his 18th season in the major leagues. 1-0 the count. Line to center field. Mosby on the run toward the triangle. It's over his head and all the way to the 420 mark. Boggs is in. Barrett's right behind. Burks is being waved in. The relay throw to the plate is not in time. A bases clearing double for Dwight Evans and a 3-0 Red Sox lead.
How's your back, Evans? Pretty good. Welcome back to Fenway. A rocket hit by Evans, and Mosby just simply does not have time to get back on this ball. He's tracking it, long gone over him, and here come the racehorses around the sacks for Boston. Boggs only had 90 feet to go. Barrett just a little more than that, and then Burks, the speedster.
Billy Joe Robideau swinging at the first pitch. Fly ball to center. Mosby with the catch, and Evans will remain at second. So Billy Joe swinging at his first pitch as a member of the Red Sox, and he's out on a fly ball to center. 2 outs, Evans at second. 3-0 Boston.
The relay handled nicely by the Tigers once they got their grips on it. Throw up the line. Noakes trying to hold his ground, maybe to prevent Burks or force him to slide away from the plate. Nothing doing. Jack Morris right there where he should be to back it up, and Evans will have to hold with the double, but 3 big RBIs.
And the 7th hitter of the inning is Tony Pena. First pitch to Tony as a member of the Red Sox, a strike. Well, that time it took Evans 2 pitches against Jack Morris to start the season to make his mark. Of course, it was in 1986 on April 7th that Dwight Evans became the first major league player to ever hit the first pitch of the first game of the season for a home run. April 7th, 1986 at Tiger Stadium against Jack Morris. The error proves costly. 3 runs on 3 hits and 1 Tiger error. Pena, bouncer in the hole. Long throw for Trammell, and he got him. But in the first, the Red Sox sent 7 men to the plate and scored 3 runs on 3 hits, plus the 1 big Detroit error by Cecil Fielder. After 1, 3-0 Boston.
If it's out there, it's in here. The 9X Yellow Pages. Why would anyone need another?
Only one gasoline is the best-selling premium unleaded gasoline in America. Only one gasoline has been America's best-selling premium unleaded for 5 straight years. It's the only premium gasoline with the performance of Shell's unique additive package. That gasoline is SU 2000 Super Unleaded. Experience the difference.
You know, when you got it right, you got it right. Whether you're talking about this, or whether you're talking about the one and only Diet Cola that does it for Ray, Diet Pepsi. You know, nothing tastes as good to me as Diet Pepsi. All right, now, who was the wise guy?
Diet Pepsi with 100% NutraSweet.
Now, that's the right one, baby.
Back at Fenway Park, where the 1990 season is underway, and the Red Sox have a 3-0 lead after 1. There's been a lot of conversation the last couple of weeks about Don Mattingly and his contract. He says if he doesn't get it done by the time the Yankee season begins, he might take a walk into free agency at the end of the season. But today, the New York Daily News reports that he's very close to signing a 5-year, $19 million contract that would make him the highest paid player in baseball history. It will not include a no-trade clause.
Is that a one-upsmanship over Will Clark now?
Yes, I believe that's what that is.
That's quite a bit more than one-upsmanship, isn't it?
Clemens' first pitch of the second, inside, ball 1 to Cecil Fielder.
Clark's was what, $15 million for 4 years? Mattingly is roughly $19 million for 5
years, yes.
I'm not going to squabble over $1 or $2 or a year or 2.
Cecil Fielder, the former Toronto Blue Jay, went to Japan. Had a big year last year in Japan. Signed as a free agent by the Tigers. Hit 38 home runs, did Fielder last year in Japan. That was good for third in Japan's Central League. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 1 out of the second. That's the first of many strikeouts to come this season for Roger Clemens.
Just the heater, almost right in the heart of the strike zone, really. That's the pitch there that most hitters, you can hit it up, but you have to attack it because it is in the strike zone. You yelling to yourself, don't swing at that high one from Clemens, but that's about the limit there.
Lloyd Mosby, another Tiger newcomer, checked his swing and took a ball high. Mosby was signed by the Tigers as a free agent in December. Spent the entire decade of the 80s with the Toronto Blue Jays. Broke in 1980. Went right through last year with the Blue Jays. His numbers have been dropping significantly over the last couple of seasons. He had 239 in 1988, 221 for the Blue Jays last year. One ball, 2 strikes. Mosby finished his Toronto career as the Blue Jays' all-time leader in games played, at bats, runs scored, hits, doubles, triples, total bases, stolen bases, and walks. He's dealing with a 2-ball, 2-strike count now. And with Ernie Witt off to Atlanta, no more original Blue Jays.
That's it.
A little bit low. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 1 out, top of the second. 3-0 Red Sox. You're just tuning in. Doubled by Dwight Evans to the triangle in center field with the bases loaded. scored 3 runs in the bottom of the first. Ball 4. And Lloyd Moseby is the first Tiger base runner of the afternoon.
33.
Clemens back wearing number 21, as you can clearly see from that shot, after wearing number 14 during spring training. Reportedly in honor of his former teammate Jim Rice. Perhaps we'll find out more about that after the game, as Roger is expected to speak with the media following today's start. Matt Noakes, the hitter. In the air to left field, Mike Greenwell. 2 outs. And that'll bring to the plate Gary Ward.
32.
He's the Tiger left fielder. He was released within the first 2 weeks of the season last year by the New York Yankees. Signed on April 23rd by the Tigers and spent the rest of the year with them. Moseby's back safely. Moseby's still a threat to run. His stolen base numbers have also diminished over recent years, but he swiped 24 last year. That has to be respected at first. Fouled straight back by Ward, 0-1. Ward hit .251 in 105 games with the Tigers last year.
Uh-oh. Almost getting a bit too fancy was Moseby there. Roger almost caught him with that one more step towards second. That little stagger, that little stutter step in there. Whoa, wait.
The 0-1 pitch. Outside, broke off the glove of Pena. Moseby leaned for a moment toward second, then returned to first.
Pena would have had enough time in spring training and to handle most of these pitches to realize what their ball does when they throw it on certain pitches. That ball just flipped out of the mitt there. What he will have to take a little more time perhaps in learning will be the personality of who he's dealing with. Pitchers that he needs to get on and can get on, as opposed to pitchers that you have to baby a little, pat on the back a bit more. That takes a bit longer to learn than their stuff and their mechanics.
One ball, one strike. The count to Gary Ward. Moseby at first with 2 outs in the second. The Red Sox have a 3-0 lead. On the inside corner, strike 2. And one thing American League base runners like Lloyd Moseby will learn early on about Tony Pena is you can't take anything for granted as you return to the first base bag or the second or third base bags. He'll snap a throw anywhere. Outside, Tony looked down to first again. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Off the end of the bat. In the National League, the Mets and Pittsburgh Pirates are underway. And in the bottom of the first inning, Howard Johnson hit his first home run of the season. Mets lead 1-0. Doug Drabeck, the starting pitcher for Pittsburgh. Dwight Gooden for the Mets. Jody Reed to second, just ahead of Mosby. That ends the inning. After an inning and a half at Fenway Park, Roger Clemens and the Red Sox have a 3-0 lead.
For great personal service and low everyday prices, check the lineup at your neighborhood True Value hardware store, where you can choose this green thumb shovel or bow rake as the April True Value of the month. If you weren't born with a green thumb, now's the time to acquire one. This round point shovel and welded steel rake are made to last and last. And they're each just $6.99 in April, where you see the banner at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Be at Fenway Park on Saturday, April the 28th, when the Red Sox host the defending world champion Oakland A's at 1:05 p.m. The first 15,000 fans, ages 15 and younger, will receive a Red Sox figure, complement of Kenner's starting lineup. Use your Visa or MasterCard to purchase tickets by phone or stop by the ticket office at Fenway Park or the Boston Red Sox Clubhouse store in the Burlington Mall. Tickets are sure to sell quickly for this popular event, so order yours today.
Opening day fun continues here at Fenway on Saturday, April the 14th, when the Red Sox celebrate Kids Opening Day. The first 15,000 fans, 15 years and younger, will receive a visor when they enter the ballpark. And as a special treat, Bugs Bunny and his friends will perform before the game. Call 617-267-1700 to charge tickets today.
Jack Morris said to go to work in the bottom of the second with the Red Sox leading 3-0. While we have a moment, we want to pass along a hello to a friend of ours at Channel 38, John Delaney, who hasn't missed opening day here at Fenway since 1965. He's recovering from a hip operation, we were told, at the Leahy Clinic, and we hope that John is feeling well today. And also, Lee Smith asked us to pass along a happy birthday wish to his daughter, Nikita, watching via satellite. Strike into Jody Reed, coming off a terrific spring in which he hit .405 and drove in 4 runs. Jody had 15 hits and 37 spring training at bats. Young Nikita Diane Smith is 3 years old today, by the way. And perhaps to her surprise, maybe to the surprise of Lee Smith himself, he's still here with the Boston Red Sox as the trade rumors continue fast and furious. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Reed, then Romine in the top of the order. Boggs in the second. Only one of the 3 runs yielded by Morris in the first was an earned run. And that is strike 3.
Excellent split-fingered fastball this time for Morris. Seemed to take a bit more off of it. Doesn't really want to throw it up this part of the strike zone very often, but gets the job done there. Morris, you'll notice, does not bring his hands back up over his head as he did at one time. And he thinks, along with his pitching coach, Billy Muffett, that will help his control a bit more. We're talking about control. Now, Morris doesn't walk an awful lot of batters. We're talking about control. Well, I'm talking about control inside the strike zone. You're setting up to throw the ball outside, and you wind up missing. Instead of getting it to a tough pitch, it becomes a very hittable pitch.
Kevin Romine led the Red Sox in the spring in runs driven in with 12. That was 2 more than Ellis Burks. With Dwight Evans unable to go in the field, Romine is the opening day right fielder for Boston. He lines it toward the gap in left center field. That'll skip through all the way to the wall. Kevin Romine in his second with a stand-up double.
Red Sox led the world the last 2 years in doubles in the American League, and they're off and running at it again here in 1990. This is their second of the game. Of course, Evans cleared the bases, and Kevin Romine, who had a big part of the turnaround of the Red Sox when Morgan took over, played a bit part there, got some strong base hits, checks in with his first hit of the '90 season.
Morris misses with ball 1 to Boggs. Wade singled through the hole on the right side of the infield his first time up and scored the first of the 3 runs on the bases loaded double that cleared the bases by Dwight Evans. 3-0 Red Sox. Were in the second. A strike on the outside part of the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. Shallow right center, long run, and they won't get there. It falls in front of Chet Lemon. He had trouble picking up the ball, and Romine scores. Kevin probably would have scored anyway. He knew that ball was falling in. He was not going back to tag up. Wade Boggs drives in a run. His first RBI of the season. 4-0 Red Sox.
Good base running on Kevin's part, knowing where that outfielder is and seeing how the ball is hit by Boggs. Pretty good idea that Lemon was not going to get to it from that very deep position he was playing. Then he dribbles it one time, and I don't think Kevin was ever going to break stride at third anyway, so Boggs picks up his second hit and first RBI.
And he's now just 1 hit shy of 1,600 for his career. 1,599 hits. And as Monty pointed out after the first hit, now just 198 away from 200 hits for the 8th straight season. Marty Barrett, the hitter, 1 strike the count. Marty singled to center field on the first pitch he saw from Morris back in the first. Red Sox now have 4 runs on 5 hits. Change up inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dan Petrie back with Detroit, and he's warming up in the bullpen. There have also been trade rumors recently involving Marty Barrett. He chops it slowly to short, and they get Boggs. That's the only play the Tigers can make. Barrett safe on a fielder's choice, and Boggs erased 6-4 for the second out of the inning. By the way, Marty Barrett's single in the first was hit number 900 of his career. Mike Greenwell was out on a fly ball to left on the first pitch he saw from Morris in the first. Off-speed pitch in the air to right. Lemon. And that's all for the Red Sox in the second. Boston has added a run on the double by Romine and the single by Boggs. And after 2, it's the Red Sox 4 and the Tigers nothing.
What you want, baby, we got it. What you need, you know we got it. All you really want is a little respect, just a little bit respect, just a little bit.
Speedy Muffler King knows that all customers really want is a top quality repair, a good price, and a little respect. That's why Speedy gives you a guarantee on all 3, including the respect.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, that's what Speedy means to me.
Moon goes up, sun goes down. I ramble on from town to town. Oh, sweet mama, I sure don't have much. I'm just headed for the mountains. I'm just looking for a bus. Yeah.
The true story filmed on board the ship where it happened. Voyage of Terror, the Achille Lauro Affair, a movie loft event, coming to TV 38 Tuesday, May 1st.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Boston Red Sox and TV 38. It's intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the expressed written consent of the Boston Red Sox and TV 38 is prohibited. As we go to the 3rd inning, let's pause now for station identification along the TV 38 Red Sox network.
This is WSBK, TV 38, Boston.
Sean McDonough with Bob Montgomery, our producer-director Tom Tedisco. Delighted to have you with us on opening day. We'll have trivia questions for you throughout the season. Today's question, who was the last Tiger DH to have 100 runs batted in one season? We'll see the Tiger DH batting second this inning. Dave Bergman will hit after Chet Lemon, who's up there with a count of 1 ball and no strikes. Bounce down to Boggs. Nice play. 1 out.
Pretty good candidates for that DH job, but we don't know the answer up here as you watch Chet Lemon.
We don't?
Bounce the grounder down to Boggs. Ball just about by him when he gets the glove on it, but really no danger. And a quick out for Roger Clemens. Got some pretty big names that would fall in there. Willie Horton would be a guy that's named that we would throw in there. Darrell Evans, did he DH enough for them? Maybe to be a 100 RBI guy. I don't know. Some awfully good years for him. Over 40 home runs one year for the Tigers when at age 40. I'm not sure if he played a lot of those days as a first baseman.
Well, it isn't often you see the DH batting 9th in the American League, but that's the case for the Tigers today. Dave Bergman is the designated hitter, and he's up there with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Red Sox lead 4-0. And Bergman's now in the hole, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Usually if you do see a DH batting 9th, it's of the speed variety, so that a manager looks at it almost as having 2 leadoff guys. Usually the power guy, if he's a DH, well, you won't find him deeper than 7th in your batting order very often.
Inside. 2-2. Bergman will be followed by Tony Phillips. Marty Barrett went to both knees to make the play. 2 outs in the 3rd.
Marty had quite a string going last year of errorless ball games, and then all of a sudden he broke out of it out on a West Coast trip, and it became a catching factor. Everybody started making errors. Marty says, I'm not going to make one here on opening day. I'm going to smother this one. Almost a semi-cue shot off the bat of Bergman, and Barrett's up with it. Bergman makes the right turn.
Tony Phillips swings through the breaking ball. Phillips popped out to Wade Boggs in foul territory to open the 1990 season. Sparky Anderson says the thing that impressed him most about Tony Phillips in spring training was the attitude he brought with him every day to the ballpark. Very much a professional, a hard worker. And the Tigers go in order on 3 ground balls in the 3rd. Through 2.5 at Fenway on opening day. Roger Clemens and the Red Sox are enjoying a 4-0 lead.
Nesson, your ticket to more than 300 live events each year.
Motor Trend's Car of the Year award hasn't been won by an American luxury sedan in 38 years. Until now. Until the 1990 Lincoln Town Car, with more room than any car in its class. A 5-liter V8 engine, supplemental airbag restraint system, available anti-lock brakes, and a combination of technological features most luxury cars can't match. Motor Trend's Car of the Year for 1990, the Lincoln Town Car. Now more than ever, what a luxury car should be. Enough said.
Among the sellout crowd here at Fenway, the new director, president, and chief operating officer of the Detroit Tigers, Bo Schembechler. Of course, he's best known for his 21 years as head football coach at the University of Michigan. Now we remember vividly the pictures, particularly in this recent Rose Bowl, of Mr. Schembechler. Here's Ellis Burks with a fly ball to left. Drifting over Ward. He drifted a long way to his left to take it in. Burks now 0 for 1. He walked and scored ahead of the double by Evans after he was granted new life. Cecil Fielder dropped his pop-up and foul ground back in the first. But I wonder now if, when Mr. Schembechler gets upset about things happening for the Tigers, he doesn't have the headsets to slam down. Maybe it's that nice hat he was wearing that'll get slammed to the ground on occasion.
Must be a strange feeling for him to be watching an athletic competition of any kind and not feel that headset on.
Dwight Evans drove in the first runs of the season with a double to the triangle in center field with the bases loaded in the first. Scored all 3 runners, Boggs, Barrett, and Burks. Red Sox added 1 last inning on a double by Romine and a single by Boggs, and they lead 4-0 here in the third.
Schembechler actually joined the Tiger organization about the middle of last year. I think it's going to take him a while to learn a bit about the inner workings of baseball, but I would, and I'm assuming here, but I would think this would be the case. A man who has had to judge talent all of his life would still be able to judge talent even though it's in a different sport. I think he'll be able to judge the makeup of individuals readily, even though it goes from football into baseball, and the competitive effort put forth by an individual, I would think, would be picked up fairly easily by him in his many years of experience.
Well, you wonder how he will deal with losing. He never had a losing season in 27 years as a major college football coach. Ranked as the winningest active coach in Division I when he retired. 234 wins, 65 losses. Evans sends the first one back in this direction this season. But the Tigers, the worst record in baseball last year, and you really can't expect that they'll have a big year this year.
No. And they may not even be expecting to have a big year next year, but Sparky Anderson has a couple of younger players that are not on his ball club right now. Left-hander by the name of Brian Dubois, who we probably will see before the year's over, maybe before too long.
Popped up near the Tiger dugout, right near Mr. Schembechler, as a matter of fact, but Tony Phillips had room in front of the dugout to make the catch for the second out of the third, with Boston leading 4-0.
Sean, this is really about the second time in, the last 15 years that the Tigers have allowed their ball club, their big league ball club, become somewhat aged without having the younger player to come in and take their place. They did it in the K-Line, Northrop, McAuliffe era. They let those guys get old and then didn't have anybody to replace them. They had to build it up again. Ralph Houck did most of that rebuilding, and he was the one that originally brought Trammell and Whitaker together as a big league combination, had them in the minor leagues in that organization. So they're right now faced with pretty much the same situation again, trying to rebuild some of their youngsters, and their minor league organization or their minor league operation doesn't really have that many talked about players in it.
They only have 1 rookie on the team this year. Plenty of new faces. They have 15 players on the team this year who were not with the Tigers on opening day last year. But just 1 rookie on the roster at the moment, pitcher Steve Wapnick. 2-1 pitch to Robideau, well hit. Fielded on a hop by Whitaker. And the Red Sox go in order for the first time in the third. After 3 on opening day at Fenway Park, it's Boston 4 and Detroit nothing.
A journey through the old country. Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, Virginia.
This year, your vacation begins with all the thrills and pageantry of Europe long ago at Busch Gardens. Come visit the old country and more, here in the heart of Virginia. Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. All the fun of Europe, only closer.
The New England Blazers are in the World Championship game. Coors Light and Major Indoor Lacrosse present the Blazing Z-Force in their first championship game appearance versus the defending world champion Philadelphia Wings. This Friday night at 8 at the Centrum. The stage is set for the championship game showdown for the North American Cup. The Centrum will be rocking from the opening face-off to the Blazers' final goal. Don't miss the most exciting night in New England lacrosse history. Be a part of the home field advantage as Coors Light presents the New England Blazers versus the Philadelphia Wings.
Baseball fans, this could be the year the Bruins go all the way. Stay tuned for Game 3 of the Atom Division semifinals. That's tonight at 7:30, right here on TV 38.
Friends, the 1990 Red Sox yearbook is here. It's filled with great full-color photos and profiles of the ball club and has several interesting articles. You can order yours by sending $6 to Yearbook, Box 1616, Boston, 02130. The answer to the trivia question that we asked you an inning ago, the last Tiger DH to have 100 runs batted in a season. And I'm sure our guest knew the answer. Rusty Staub back in 1978. He drove in 121. You're looking at Roger Clemens as we go to the fourth. Roger has allowed just one base runner to this point. That was a walk back in the second to Lloyd Mosby. And it's indeed a pleasure to welcome the governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Michael Dukakis.
John, how are you?
Fine.
How are you? I have a question
you?
of you. Where is my father-in-law?
I don't know.
I said he was going to call you.
I have a message that he called, but I didn't get it until about 10 minutes before game time.
I've got 2 broken hands because I tried to get him out of the snow in Berkshire County. He's a great man.
He certainly is. For those who aren't familiar, and I'm sure there aren't many who are not familiar, the governor's father-in-law is Harry Ellis Dixon, an avid Red Sox fan. It's been a pleasure getting to know him over the last couple of years. What a fine gentleman.
Well, he's a great fan of yours.
Oh, thank you.
Bob's.
And I know you rarely, if ever, miss opening day.
It's a great, great day, and this ballpark is a terrific ballpark, and I like the looks of this team. Once again, optimistic in the spring. But I just love coming out here. Kitty's with me down in the box with the former Governor John Volpe, who is here today as well, and it's just great to be here.
Well, we know you're in charge of the weather committee, and you've done a wonderful job.
If it's good, I'm in charge of it. If it's bad, I had nothing to do with it. But it is a great day for the opener. We've had some, as you know, that have been postponed on account of snow, so it's great to be here with just such a great day.
Clemens working to Alan Trammell as we go to the fourth. 4-0 Red Sox. 1-2 the count to Trammell. He was out on a fly ball to center field back in the first inning. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And you had the ultimate thrill that I'm sure many Red Sox fans wish they could experience. Remember a couple of years ago at spring training, you had a chance to go in the batting cage and take some live swings.
There was a guy up in the stands who had some tough things to say about my batting ability. I went up there and made contact 10 out of 12 times and redeemed my honor. But I'll tell you, going down to spring training and doing that is...
There's strike 3 to Alan Trammell. Second strikeout for Clemens. Well, luckily you didn't have to hit against Roger Clemens. 10 out of 12 making contact might have been tough against Roger.
Living just every boy's fantasy from Boston was worth the presidential campaign.
That time the breaking ball from Clemens got Trammell. Now Lou Whitaker, who bounced to the second baseman Marty Barrett, his first time up. The strike. It's amazing. We had Mayor Flynn on with us last year, and he talked about how much a Red Sox season, particularly if it's going well, means the attitude of everybody in Massachusetts.
No
if they're winning, everybody seems to have a little bit more of a lighter step.
The 86 season when I was running for re-election, you know, it was just one of those incredible seasons. 75 season when we were really way down in economic terms, and this club just picked us up. I remember sitting behind the third base dugout. Fisk hit it out that 6th game, and it was terrific. On the other hand, when they let us down sometimes, it doesn't do the state's mood a lot of good.
Well, hopefully they'll give all of New England a lift in this 1990 season.
Well, I must say Mr. Clemens is
he's doing his part
throwing
today.
very well.
And Whitaker's out on the spinner down to third. Thrown out by Wade Boggs for the second out of the fourth. The Red Sox lead by a score of 4-0. I know you like to get out here fairly regularly as your schedule permits. On average, how often do you try to get out here to the ball?
Oh, I may make 3 or 4 a year, Sean, and I hope I can do more once I leave the governor's office. But it's very close. I mean, it's about a 20-minute walk from our house and very close by. And I love this ballpark. I remember back when I was in the legislature in the 60s, people were talking about tearing it down and building a new park and so on. I don't think anybody would ever think of doing that these days.
Cecil Fielder, the hitter, he struck out his first time up, went down swinging. One of 2 Clemens strikeouts this afternoon. Good live fastball that missed high. 2 balls and no strikes.
I remember coming out here when I was 4.5 years of age, seeing my first Red Sox game. And Lefty Grove was pitching.
I enjoyed the articles in the Globe yesterday, some of the writers reminiscing about their earliest memories of Fenway, and I think all of us who are from this area can relate to that.
Yeah. A lot of the father-son connection. My dad was not a great baseball fan. In fact, my mother brought us down here, my brother and I, and she didn't know one end of the bat from the other. I think it was the first and last time she ever brought us, but it was a great, great inauguration. I remember Jimmy Fox hit one off the left field wall so hard that I've never seen a ball hit quite as hard off that wall. It's unbelievable.
A strike and a count of 3-2 to Cecil Fielder. He probably didn't see a fastball that loud in his year in Japan last season. Clemens started to work very quickly, and Fielder bailed out. 4-0 Boston. In the top of the 4th on opening day at Fenway. And that's ball 4. Second walk thrown by Clemens. Both Tiger base runners to this point have come via a walk from Roger, and he'll work next to Lloyd Mosby, who drew the other walk back in the 2nd. Have you given much thought to what the future holds for you in your time as governor?
Not really. Kitty and I are thinking a little bit about it, Sean, but, you know, we've got to get this state back in shape financially. I want to move ahead on some things that are very important before I leave, and leave a good, solid state government once again to my successor. But we're still young. We're still energetic. We've got our health, and there's lots to be done. I want to reach out to young people particularly and get them turned on to public service. I'm very concerned about all this bashing of public service that's taking place.
Big swing and a miss by Mosby. I'm sure sports fans would be interested. You talked about some conversation years ago about a new Fenway Park. But what could you tell us about the prospects for a new Boston Garden? Will we see one?
That is moving ahead, yeah. As a matter of fact, just the other day, the mayor and I were at the signing of the leases for the Celtics and the Bruins, and I think we're on track. It's going to be, it's going to involve a major investment by the state in new garage, transit facilities, and so on. But it's, I think, on track, and we're on our way now.
Saw a shot of Fielder who does not run particularly well. Billy Joe Robideau is playing a bit behind him. With Mosby playing, he tried to check his swing and get out of the way of that high pitch, but could not. And the count is 0-2. Well, you once said that you and Joe Morgan, or John McNamara, I believe it was at the time, had the 2 toughest jobs in New England.
I think being Red Sox manager is even tougher than being governor.
Well, you mentioned the bashing of public servants, and certainly Red Sox managers have taken their share of bashing.
It's part of the business, whether you're in politics.
For broadcasters, too, if there's
indeed
consolation to public servants, baseball managers, we can share in that. Robideau to Clemens for the out on Mosby. Governor Dukakis, thank you for sharing your time with us.
Great to be with you.
Good luck.
Good luck. Let's hope we all have a good season.
Thank you.
Great.
Governor Michael Dukakis joining us in the 4th inning. After 3.5, it's 4-0 Red Sox.
I want to share a few words with you about gasoline. Now, people generally figure they're all pretty much the same. Well, we at Texaco recently introduced a gasoline we think is pretty good. Texaco System 3. Being curious, we spent a year or two testing it. What we learned prompts us to add a new word to the conventional wisdom regarding gasoline. They're not the same. And in the coming weeks, we're going to prove it.
Braking power. The Ford Escort versus the Chevrolet Cavalier. Recent independent tests of braking ability show that from a speed of 60 miles per hour, the Ford Escort will brake to a complete stop in 138.3 feet. The Chevy Cavalier slightly more.
Hurry to your New England Ford dealers for great savings on Escort. Get 6.9 financing plus $750 cash back.
In all of Boston, in all of the United States, in all of North America, in all of the world, there will only be one winner. This could be the year.
Our coverage of Red Sox baseball continues as the Milwaukee Brewers come to town this coming weekend. Friday night at 7:30, it'll be the Red Sox and Milwaukee. Then on Sunday afternoon at 1, and that game on Sunday, of course, followed as usual by Sox Talk. Sean McDonough and Lou Gorman immediately following Red Sox baseball on Sunday. That's Friday night at 7:30, Sunday afternoon at 1 over most of these stations, so check your local listings.
Number 6, Tony Pena.
On to the bottom of the fourth. Jack Morris has retired 5 in a row as he faces Tony Pena. Boston with a 4-0 lead as the Red Sox hit. Bottom third of the order, and Tony Pena looked at ball one outside. Tony bounced to short in his first at-bat as a member of the Red Sox. Jody Reed and Kevin Romine will follow. 4 runs, 5 hits for Boston. No runs, no hits, and 1 error for Detroit. Back toward the screen, and not enough room for Matt Noakes. We mentioned the ball game in the National League that is underway. Pittsburgh at New York. That's been a back-and-forth affair. It started on a home run by Howard Johnson in the first inning that gave the Mets a 1-0 lead at the expense of Doug Drabeck. But then Drabeck helped his own cause with a single that drove home Barry Bonds and Mike LaValliere. That made it 2-1 Pittsburgh. But now in the bottom of the second, Barry Lyons is at a 2-run homer for the Mets with Mike Marshall aboard. And it's 3-2 Mets after 2. Down the right field line, long run for Lemon, and the ball's in the stands. Just fell into the front row. I remember when they brought Tony Pena in over the winter to meet the media, and he came out to look at the field at Fenway Park. And of course, most people feel that your first impression of Fenway is the big green wall, but Tony was looking at that right field foul pole and commenting on how close it was to home plate.
He's a sharp eye. It's shorter down that right field line than it is the left field line. I think you'll find that Pena will hit most of the balls that he really hits hard. He'll hit up the middle and to the right of second base. I don't know that he has the power to get into a Red Sox bullpen. I doubt it, although he could get it in there on a sneak swing once in a while.
1-2 pitch in the dirt.
Like Matt Noakes should get a set of batteries with that catching gear he's got on today, doesn't he? Day glow shin guards and chest protector. Boy, if a pitcher ever claims about not being able to pick up the target with that, he's in trouble.
Check the prescription.
Oh.
Pena swung at a ball. Noakes will have to throw down to first for the putout. That's 2 strikeouts for Jack Morris. Pena the first out of the 4th inning with Boston ahead 4-0.
Split-fingered fastball doing its job here. It's made to appear, give the hitter the appearance of the fastball. It's a pitch that rarely ever starts in the strike zone. As a matter of fact, it usually started down and then it sinks on toward the ground. And you chases it. Morris got the K.
Jody Reed in the air. Breeze trying to keep it in play, and it will. Gary Ward with the catch. Breeze now blowing out toward center and right center field. And a look at the retired numbers for the Red Sox. And out in the bleachers, a fan has added the number 14 in honor of Jim Rice. Or Roger Clemens in spring training, but I'm sure that's for Jim Rice. Kevin Romine doubled and scored back in the second. He doubled to left center. And Wade Boggs brought him home with a looping single into right field. The Red Sox scored 3 runs in the first, if you're just joining us, on a bases-loaded double by Dwight Evans that scored Boggs, Barrett, and Burks. Boggs and Barrett had reached with singles, and Burks a walk. Morris has retired 7 in a row since that RBI single by Boggs in the second. Well hit again by Romine. On the run, Mosby. He's looking up. That's off the wall. And Kevin Romine is 2 for 2 with a pair of stand-up doubles.
Red Sox, as I mentioned earlier, doubling people to death last year. 326 doubles, to be as a matter of fact. They're the only team in the American League to have more than 300, or as many as 300. And Kevin Romine picks up his second double of the ball game and the third for the Red Sox.
Sparky Anderson, who annually leads the world in intentional walks, at least in the American League, will pitch around Wade Boggs to get to Marty Barrett, playing the percentages of the right-hander against the right-handed hitter. And Sparky has long had the philosophy that he won't let the other team's biggest guns beat him.
Well, and two, we talk about this so much, Sean. It's tough to pitch to Boggs pitching around him because he won't swing at balls that are out of the strike zone, but yet if you make one little mistake on him trying to pitch around him, then he can still do damage to you because he has such great bat control. I think in that case, I'm all in the same page in the line of thoughts as far as Sparky is concerned. I doubt that he ever pitches to George Brett with the base open. Mattingly, probably the same way. You put all those guys in it. I think Boggs had something like 19 intentional walks last year. So he'll probably get a bit of that.
Barrett looks at a strike. Marty is singled to center and scored. That was in the first, and he reached on a fielder's choice in the second.
It perks up an on-deck hitter, though, and I know Marty is thinking along the same lines. When you're on deck and you see that man intentionally being walked, you're saying to yourself, well, do they think I'm that much easier? So you get a little tougher as a hitter when you step in.
A ball. Tigers pitching staff was second in the league in most walks allowed last year. They combined to walk 652 opposing hitters. Only the Texas Rangers threw more walks, and they threw only 2 more at 654. A lot of those Tiger walks of the intentional variety.
A lot of those Texas walks of the unintentional variety.
Of the Charlie Huff, Bobby Witt, Nolan Ryan
variety.
They were the top 3 in the league, all on the same team. Kevin Romine 2 for 27 against Detroit coming into today's ball game. So he's already matched his hit total for his career prior to today. 2 for 22 coming in, but 2 for 2 today. Strike. The count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. Jack Morris, the winningest pitcher in the majors for the decade of the 80s. He won 162 games. Check swing by Barrett. Strike 3, says first base umpire Greg Kost. The Red Sox strand 2 base runners in the 4th, but after 4 it is still Boston 4 and Detroit nothing.
Uncle Lou, what do you think of that new Diet Pepsi? What, are you nuts? I love this new Diet Pepsi so much better than Diet Coke that I would rather you drop the bowling ball on my tongue than I don't have my Diet Pepsi. I'd rather have a rash that I can't reach. I'd rather my mother-in-law come back to life. Ooh, I would rather eat lint than not have my Diet Pepsi. You understand? Yeah, you love the new Diet Pepsi. What?
Diet Pepsi with 100% NutraSweet, the right one. From
From the Far East to Europe. Across the Caribbean and throughout North America, only one airline covers so much of the world with so much warmth.
This could be the year the Bruins break through. The Boston Bruins face off against the Hartford Whalers in Game 3 of the Adams Division semifinals, Monday night at 7:30 on TV 38.
If you were not with us for the pregame festivities, you missed several touching moments. One of the most notable, if not the most notable, of those moments, the reception Bill Buckner received when he was introduced. Back with the Red Sox, and here it is. You can see the emotion in his face. Bill Buckner, the active hit leader for Major League Baseball with 2,707 hits. Red Sox also have the active home run leader in Dwight Evans, now that Darrell Evans has been set free by the Atlanta Braves. On to the fifth we go. Matt Noakes leading off, 1 strike the count. He was out on a fly ball to left his first time up. 4-0 Red Sox. 0-2 now the count to Noakes. He'll be followed by Ward and Lemon. Wasn't that a stirring rendition of the national anthem?
Loved it.
By Mr. McVeigh. Les Miserables.
Absolutely beautiful.
And then a touching scene with Mrs. Giamatti throwing out the first pitch of the season and hugging Tony Pena after an exchange of greetings between the two. You know, annually, Cincinnati has been the place where the season begins, but I really feel like it should be in Fenway Park or in Wrigley Field at least. We won't have Comiskey Park after this season, but it should be in one of the great old ballparks that the season begins.
This is the second time in the last 3 years, I think it is, that the Red Sox and the Tigers have been involved in the very first game, taking those honors away from Cincinnati in those times. Not one year simply because the game was scheduled to start earlier in Detroit than in Cincinnati. And of course this year Cincinnati's not at home. They open the season on the road in Houston, I believe.
1-2 pitch to Noakes. High and away. Noakes, another in the long line of Red Sox killers over the years. We've talked a lot about Rance Mulliniks along those lines. Buddy Bell was one of those who did regular damage against the Red Sox. Last year, Noakes hit .415 against Boston. For his career, he's a .342 hitter against the Red Sox. 10 of his 60 career home runs have come against Boston. And he smashed that foul off first base.
Well, that might give you an appearance there. Well, you don't want to come back inside on Noakes. You do want to come back inside on him, and especially in this ballpark, and even more so when you're playing in Detroit. Noakes really likes to extend his arms. He can get from the middle of the plate out and still pull the ball. That pitch he just hit there, he can hit it, but it's hard for him to hit that ball fair. Oh, we used to pitch Norm Cash all the time. You'd work him a couple pitches quickly inside, let him pull him foul. You get him 0-2, 1-2, then you can go to work on it.
Noakes had 2 4-hit games last year, and not surprisingly, they both came against the Red Sox. June 14th here at Fenway and September 23rd at Detroit.
Did you ever hit a ball softly against them? Not that I remember.
No. Scares you every time he's up against the Bostonians. Count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2 balls and 3 strikes. That pitch was almost unhittable. 3rd strikeout for Clemens. 1 out in the 5th. 4-0 Red Sox.
What you do is look at this pitch as a batter and look at the umpire and hope he says ball. That's the only chance you've got, and maybe get one more look at another pitch. It is unhittable indeed. Hey, Clemens, right away showing that pinpoint control early in the season, too. And as a catcher, and Pina's sharp, look at that plate just a bit wider for him by the 5th or 6th inning.
The ball low to Gary Ward. He was out on the ground ball to short his first time up. Ward, one of the 15 players who was not with the Tigers on opening day last year, who is on their opening day roster this year. Of course, he came shortly after the start of the season after being released by the Yankees. Jerry Don Gleaton, Urbano Lugo, Ed Nunez, Dan Petrie, Kevin Ritz, Steve Wapnick, Mark Salas, Cecil Fielder, John Paradis, Tony Phillips, Ed Romero, Ward himself, Tracy Jones, Lloyd Mosby, and Larry Sheets are all newcomers to the Tigers since opening day last year. When you only win 59 games, you have to do something, particularly when you don't have much talent in your minor league system, and that is a problem for Detroit. Ward tried to stop that swing but couldn't. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Tigers made some attractive offers to other free agents who didn't accept them. They tried very, very hard to get Ken Herbeck, also Pete O'Brien, and they made a very generous offer to Mark Davis, who would not take it.
Strike 3. Another virtually unhittable pitch. Matter of fact, Ward looked as though he thought the pitch was outside. Back-to-back strikeouts and 2 outs in the 5th.
Number 4 for Clemens, and check the target of Pina now. See where he's set. Roger will just about throw the ball right in the glove. That's how you get those kind of calls. Pina had to raise the glove just a bit. Pina down in that familiar sitting position, and there it is. What a great view that gives the umpire.
From the first angle, I think Ward might have had a beef. Pitch looked to be maybe a little bit off the outside of the plate, but as you point out, when the pitcher's in a groove and
you get him, and you should
that
get him.
Target, he is getting them. And I agree. I think umpires ought to call more strikes behind the plate. They're trying to speed up baseball games, and that would be one way to do it. Call more strikes on pitches close.
When I say you should get him now, I'm talking as a catcher. If I was a hitter, I don't want that to be a strike, obviously.
Well, you were also occasionally a hitter.
Well,
I guess that was a dilemma for you. How could you turn around and look at the umpire and say that was not
I didn't.
A strike when you were a hitter?
And I didn't. I would much rather have that pitch for my pitcher than I had for me as a hitter, because they didn't pay me to hit, believe me. They pay me a lot to catch.
Chet Lemon, the hitter. With 2 outs in the 5th, the Red Sox lead 4-0. They scored 3 times in the first on a bases-loaded double by Dwight Evans. Once in the second on a Romine double, and he was singled in by Boggs. Breaking ball. Lemon spun out of there as though he were totally confused.
Or frustrated. He's already seen what's happened to the 2 batters in front of it, and all of a sudden you start getting some of these nasty pitches being made by a pitcher who, well, so far this afternoon has been unhittable.
Clemens trying to strike out the side. Hit sharply. Jody Reed knocks it down, and Robideau can't dig it out of the dirt. Jody had time to make a good strong throw and get Chet Lemon, and everybody will await the scoring decision, because if it's a hit, it's the first for the Tigers.
Jody did have time to get himself straightened up. This ball is hit awfully hard, and Jody has to trap this ball, knock it down. And instead of straightening up and making a strong throw, you can see how far yet Lemon had to go down the line. Jody chose to throw almost underneath and didn't have a lot on it. Plus it tailed, and Robideau couldn't quite grab the handle on the back end of it.
It's an error on Jody Reed. They haven't posted it yet, but when they do, they'll get a roar from the crowd as they were all yelling E. They're aware that the Tigers are hitless. Is posted. Jody made a nice play to knock it down, but he had time to right himself and make a good throw that would have retired Lemon. And official scores will tell you the play that stops the ball doesn't matter. If they get up and they have the opportunity to throw him out, and should throw him out, you almost have to disregard the play.
That's right. When you're in the big leagues, I don't care how hard the guy hits the ball. If it's at you, you should make the play.
So it's an error, first of the season by the Red Sox. The batter is Dave Berkman. And the count is 1 strike. He grounded out to the second baseman Barrett, his first time up. Well, the Red Sox 4 runs, 6 hits, and now 1 error. For the Tigers, no runs, no hits, and they've committed 1 error, and it was costly. A drop pop-up by Cecil Fielder on a ball hit by Ellis Burks in foul ground in the first. Burks wound up walking and scoring on the Evans bases loaded double. Bergman peels it into the third base seats. Clemens with 2 strikeouts in the inning, 4 in the ball game. He's second in the majors a year ago, was Clemens, with 230 strikeouts. Only Nolan Ryan had more. He had 301. Again, pushed into the third base seats. Roger was one of only 4 major league pitchers to reach the 200 strikeout plateau last year. In the dirt, blocked by Pena. A ball and 2 strikes to Dave Bergman.
I like the job that Tony Pena is doing today. Obviously, blocking this ball is a nice job turned in by the Red Sox catcher, but it's one of only a few split-fingered fastballs I have seen thrown by Clemens. That tells me that he and Pena have gotten together and they're kind of relying a bit more on that fastball this afternoon, and certainly it's paying off for him.
Check swing, right back to Clemens. Halfway through the ball game. Still Boston 4 and Detroit nothing.
One dry is brewed longer. One dry is brewed from the most expensive ingredients. One dry refreshes completely. One taste, and you'll know why. The One Dry is Michelob Dry.
No, mascot, no! Oh! I want!
Gold. That's right, gold. People are discovering it from one end of Massachusetts to the other. Gold. It's just beneath the surface of solid gold. The lottery's new instant game with 66 million in total cash prizes. Discover solid gold for yourself.
Next time on Cheers, Diane and Carla hoist a few and have a real heart-to-heart.
Why do I get the feeling that we're jerking our chain here?
Are they going to bury the hatchet once and for all?
People who need people.
Now just wait till you see what happens when these two really let their hair down.
How about I take your hair and scour the sink with it?
So get ready.
Is that a Brillo shot?
It's a hair-raising episode next time on Cheers.
Watch Cheers, Monday at 7 on TV 38.
One of the hardest hit balls off Roger Clemens this afternoon has come off the bat of Chet Lemon. Jody Reed will smother this ball. He'll knock it down. Didn't have it in the glove. When he picks it up, see him throw underhand there. He had plenty of time to straighten himself up, come up over the top, make a good strong throw, but chose to throw from down there and threw low. Robideau couldn't handle it, and he's charged with the first error of the 1990 season. Jody with 18 errors last year and combination of shortstop and second base play.
On to the bottom of the 5th with the Red Sox leading 4-0, and Mike Greenwell is the hitter. Greenwell 0 for 2 out on a couple of fly balls. 1 to left, 1 to right. Coming off a strong spring after a slow start. His average finished for spring training at .396. Morris misses inside, 2-0. That ball game at Shea Stadium has gone to the 4th, and they're now tied at 3. Pittsburgh tied it on a fielder's choice by Bobby Bonilla. 3-3 the score there in the 4th.
Like Mike Greenwell went to the plate and says, look, I'm going to hit with a strike on me this time. He'd been up there 2 previous plate appearances and had seen just 2 pitches out on a couple of fly balls, 1 to left, 1 to right. That's the way he started spring training off. He took his first at-bats over in Baseball City against the Royals. His first 3 times up, he only saw 3 pitches. Well, it didn't take him long to become a bit more patient.
Well hit to right. Lemon with the catch. There's one other ball game underway now in the American League. Baltimore's at Kansas City. They started at 2:35 our time, and the Orioles did not score in the top of the first. Bob Malacky pitching against Brett Saberhagen.
Greenwell with a few more pitches to look at there. Really blocked this one. But Lemon was right there to handle the hard hit liner.
Milwaukee and the Chicago White Sox getting underway. As you look at Ellis Burks, who's 0 for 1. He walked and scored in the first. Final opener at Comiskey Park in Chicago this afternoon. Melito Perez, the starter for the White Sox. Chris Bosio gets the call on opening day for the Brewers. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here it's 4-0 Red Sox with 1 out and the bases empty in the 5th inning. Tonight, Toronto is at Texas. Todd Stottlemyre will work for the Blue Jays. That's because Dave Stieb will pitch tomorrow, and they return to Toronto for the Blue Jay home opener. Trammell throws out Burks for the 2nd out of the 5th. Seattle's in California tonight. Holman against Blyleven. And Minnesota is at Oakland with Alan Anderson working against Dave Stewart. Maybe this will be the year Dave Stewart wins the Cy Young Award. 21-9. Wasn't good enough last year. Now Dwight Evans, who drove in the first runs of the season in the first inning with a double to the triangle in center field. That came with the bases loaded, and it scored all 3 runners. Dwight's 1 for 2. And he lifts one to left. Ward puts it away, and the Red Sox go quickly in order in the 5th. After 5 on opening day at Fenway Park. Boston 4 and Detroit nothing.
Going home, going home, with Citgo, going home.
When the day is done, it's Citgo's job to get you where you're going, especially when you're going home.
Going home.
Fans, now you can have Red Sox baseball all year long. Sound too good to be true? Well, just come out to Fenway Park on April the 10th or 11th when the Red Sox play the Detroit Tigers and receive a 1990 Red Sox calendar. There are color photos of the players, the action, and the ballpark. Also information on the schedule, tickets, and promotions. Be sure to get your tickets by calling the direct charge line at 267-1700. Tickets are also available at the ticket office and the Red Sox clubhouse shop in the Burlington Mall.
Be one of the first 15,000 fans, ages 15 and under, to enter the Fenway Park on Saturday, April 28th, and you can take home a Boston Red Sox figurine, compliments of Kinner's starting lineup. There are still tickets available, but they're selling quickly. To order your tickets, call 617-267-1700.
Among the sellout crowd here, not those folks, but they're also here today, are Mr. and Mrs. George Carney, Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Carney, our good friends from the Raynham-Taunton Greyhound Racetrack in Raynham, Massachusetts. Very nice people. And diehard Red Sox fans. And as we mentioned, and if you weren't with us earlier, the armbands being worn by the Red Sox players this year in memory of Tony Canigliaro. On we go to the 6th, and it's the top of the order for Detroit.
Tony Phillips.
Tony Phillips, 0 for 2. Fouled out to the third baseman Boggs in the first. And grounded out to Marty Barrett in the 3rd. 4 runs, 6 hits for Boston. No runs and no hits for Detroit. And a strike into Phillips. He'll be followed by Trammell and Whitaker. Clemens has walked 2. He has 4 strikeouts. Tigers have edged 3 base runners, 2 walks and an error. That pitch is high. 1 ball and 1 strike. Phillips, one of 7 free agents signed by the Tigers during the offseason. The others who are on the opening day roster: Ivano Lugo, Dan Petrie, Mark Salas, Cecil Fielder, Ed Romero, and Lloyd Mosby. One ball, 2 strikes.
Roger Clemens with a little wrinkle in this pitch will catch Phillips out in front.
Roger making his 3rd straight opening day start. He does not have a decision in either of the previous 2 opening day starts. Up the middle, there's the first Tiger hit. Tony Phillips with a leadoff single in the 6th, the first hit given up by Roger Clemens.
Roger had a chance, although it's just a slight one, to flag this one down. Had Phillips in the hole, a ball and 2 strikes, and couldn't get the glove on it. We go right on by Roger and into center field. Not exactly the kind of pitch you would expect Roger Clemens to be delivering when he had a batter in the hole 1 and 2. He's right in the heart of that strike zone, and Phillips gets the first hit for the Tigers.
Alan Trammell fouls the first pitch away for a strike.
Have a look at it from behind our new low point. Home plate. That ball a bit looked like it got in on Phillips, but not enough to tie him up so that he couldn't get it up the middle. I think Tony La Russa will miss in some ways Tony Phillips' presence on that ball club in Oakland. They've had Lance Blankenship doing quite a bit of playing at second base. I do think, though, that Tony La Russa will not allow it to be much of a problem for him. He'll cover it up nicely. Rob Murphy now listening in the Red Sox bullpen. La Russa doesn't stand by and allow too many things to bother him, nor the ball club that he is managing. He did such a fine job of that over the last 2 or 3 years with that Oakland club.
1 strike pitch to Trammell, dug out of the dirt by Pena. Quick throw down to first, and just back in was Tony Phillips.
Snapping throw. Pena almost gives you that one to lull you to sleep. And that's a tough play. Now all of a sudden you look up and he's firing it to a base somewhere. Phillips just back in time. I think the base runners have to be awake.
Line down into the corner. Phillips is on his way to third as Greenwell retrieves it. And into second, Alan Trammell with a double. So after 5 innings without a hit, the Tigers have strung together 2 base hits to start the 6th.
Sparky Ennis with a reason now to get up and move around in that third base dugout. A base hit followed by a double. And all of a sudden, with nobody out here in the 6th inning, there are runners at second and third, and Tony Phillips had a little bit of a misstep there, and that right ankle looked like it may have taken a little turn for the worse. It doesn't seem to be favoring it at all, standing at third. Joe Morgan on the way to the mound.
Morgan beginning his 2nd full season as Red Sox manager, hoping that his club will improve on its 3rd place finish of a year ago. Joe's 129 and 110 for a .540 winning percentage in his season and a half as Red Sox manager.
Joe may have been reminding his battery here too, since Pena is somewhat new to the league, that Lou Whitaker is a pretty good first ball fastball hitter, and you can bet first ball fastball here with 2 guys in scoring position, Lou Whitaker will probably be letting it fly.
He does swing at the first pitch, not particularly deep, shallow left center. Burks makes the sliding catch, but the slide cost him whatever chance he had to throw out Tony Phillips.
Hey, it didn't have any reason to slide to catch that ball. That ball could have been caught with Ellis Burst staying on his feet there. Whether he's a little bit gun shy now from his run in of a year ago, a little less than a year ago with Mike Greenwell, I don't know. But it didn't appear to me that Ellis had to go into a slide to make this catch here. Jody Reed will get out of the way in plenty of time. Ellis Burks pretty well has the bead drawn on it there. See, he had more than enough time to stay on his feet. Does he hold his feet there? There's no chance for Phillips to tag and score from third. He couldn't take the chance being 4 down in this ballpark.
Now it's 4-1. 1 out. Trammell still at second for Cecil Fielder. I think you're right. That's probably what caused him to do it. He's run into Greenwell on a couple of occasions, and last season when he did, it ended his season.
He's only got to go another step and a half or 2 at the most, and he's under a full head of steam. Phillips, no way he's going to tag and come on that ball if Burks hold his ground, especially.
Little check swing. Clemens looks Trammell back and throws out Fielder, who's now 0 for 2 with a walk.
You don't tag up and trying to score on that kind of play if the center fielder is that shallow with the big part of your order up, and in this case, your cleanup hitter there. Well, the cleanup hitter is taken care of by Mr. Clemens on the check swing. Roger almost throws the changeup. Well, he does throw the changeup to Robideau, but the job is done.
Lloyd Mosby walked in the second. Bounced to Robideau with Clemens covering in the fourth. Red Sox lead 4-1. They are out hitting the Tigers 6-2. Each side has committed 1 error. We're in the top of the 6th with Trammell at second and 2 outs. And the pitch a ball to Lloyd Mosby. Gary Pettis was the center fielder last year for the Tigers. Although he was not on opening day, Ken Williams was the center fielder on opening day. Pettis signed as a free agent by the Texas Rangers. And Mosby is in center field for Detroit.
Well, with Chet Lemon slowing down perhaps a step or 2, Gary Ward not a fast guy at all, I think they'll miss Pettis' defense a lot more. Mosby is still above average runner, but he's not the kind of defensive center fielder that Gary Pettis is. The Tigers with 103 stolen bases last year, 43 of those belong to Gary Pettis. So you're not going to get that replaced with a Mosby. Mosby, first of all, has got to get his average back up to 280 to 290, where he has the opportunity to steal those kinds of bases. He's not going to steal a lot of bases batting 221.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Certainly a center fielder with speed would be important in Tiger Stadium with that huge expanse of grass. 440 to straightaway center. Mosby didn't like the call. He thought the pitch was high. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 outs. Trammell at second in the 6th. 4-1 Red Sox. Up the middle, base hit. And that'll bring in another run for Detroit. Trammell's on to score, and the Red Sox lead has been cut in half. It's now 4-2.
That's one of those pleasing base hits if you're the batter. In this case, Mosby. 2 outs, a guy in scoring position, a 2-2 on the count. You're facing one of the better pitchers in all of baseball, and you're able to deliver a run that cuts the Boston lead to just 2 now. It's almost a run as if you say, wow, it's a gift run. Trammell scoring the 2nd Tiger run this afternoon.
And Mosby with his first RBI as a Tiger. He's at first with 2 outs for Matt Noakes, the 6th hitter of the inning. Noakes is 0 for 2 this afternoon with a fly ball to left and with a strikeout. That was swinging in the 5th. Murphy is still throwing in the Red Sox bullpen. Off the end of the bat, down to Boggs. And that's all for the Tigers in the 6th. But they get on the board with 2 runs on their first 3 hits off Roger Clemens. And after 5.5 on opening day at Fenway, it's the Red Sox 4 and the Tigers 2.
True Value hardware stores can change the look of your home with just a change of color. Choose from beautiful designer colors with True Test quality-proven Easy Care flat finish. And no matter what color you choose, this spatter-resistant finish will stay beautiful for years. So look at your color options and give any room a brand new look with True Test Easy Care flat finish, specially priced at just $10.98 a gallon at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Dry was hot. Dry is Michelob Dry. Bold taste with absolutely no aftertaste. So it refreshes completely. One taste, and you'll drink it dry.
Baseball fans, this could be the year the Bruins go all the way. Stay tuned for Game 3 of the Adams Division semifinals tonight at 7:30 here on TV 38.
And friends, a reminder that the Chicago White Sox series, originally slated for April 6th, 7th, and 8th, has been rescheduled till October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Fans holding tickets to the games on April 7th, 8th, and 9th may exchange them at the Red Sox ticket office. For more information, call 617-267-8661. And I think that's a mistake on the thing. I think it should be 6th, 7th, and 8th. It says 6th, 7th, and 8th the first time, then 7th, 8th, and 9th over here. But if you have tickets for any of those games,
I'm for all of them.
Call the Red Sox ticket office. 267-8661. 4-2. The Red Sox, as they come up in the 6th, Billy Joe Robideau pulled it into the seats just short of the foul pole.
We have to give some credit to Jack Morris, of course, here, Sean, but the Red Sox are doing it again. They scored 3 in the first, 1 in the second. They've been shut down since that time now, and all of a sudden, Tigers come up with a couple of runs here in the top of the 6th inning. Red Sox need to find a way to pick up a point or two here as you move toward the middle parts and the latter parts of this ball game. Can't keep expecting Clemens to striking guys out, keeping them off the bases. Got to add a crooked number would do nicely.
And you saw the banner for Billy Joe Robideau, the Ware, Massachusetts native, filling his lifelong dream, playing for the Red Sox. Ed Nunez warming up in the bullpen for the Detroit Tigers. Robideau had to go back for a new bat. Billy Joe's 0 for 2. Fly to center in the first, and a sharp one hopper to the second baseman, Whitaker, and was retired in the third. Morris misses, low and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Robideau, Pena, and Reed expected to bat in the 6th inning as the Red Sox try to build on a 4-2 lead. They are out hitting the Tigers 6-3. Each side has committed 1 error. Change up, slow roller. Fielder to Morris, and all that time in spring training on that play pays off as the Tigers executed it cleanly. That's 5 in a row retired by Jack Morris.
See how far out in front Morris had Robideau with that off-speed pitch, lunging at it. That's called if a hitting instructor isn't talking to you. Nubs it off the end of the bat, and the 3-1 play working with Morris covering.
Now Pena, 0 for 2 in his Boston debut with a grounder to short and a strikeout.
I like that camera shot a lot. We've used that a bit in the past, and it really gives you some different angles on hitters, sometimes some infielders, and some plays around first. We don't always have it there, but Tommy uses some judgment on special days like today and some special series, perhaps with the Yankees or the Oaklands. One of the better ball clubs are the Kansas Cities when you have some fellows who run a bit better. And it's a nice angle. Gave us a good angle there, showing how far.
Line right to the shortstop trim. 2 outs in the 6th, 4-2 Boston.
Gives us an angle sometimes on a hitter that we can't get from our other camera coverage. Good sharp swing here, and the results are nice and sharp by Pena. That ball down in the strike zone. He really drives it right at Alan Trammell. Knee knocker.
Now Jody Reed. He is struck out swinging and fly to left, 0 for 2. And the other ball game underway in the American League at Kansas City. A 3-run home run by an old friend, Sam Horn, in the second inning. Mickey Tettleton and Randy Milligan aboard has given the Baltimore Orioles a 3-0 lead over Brett Saberhagen and the Kansas City Royals. Well, Sam Horn, who earned a spot on the Orioles opening day roster, being signed as a free agent, hits a home run in what was likely to be his first, I'm sure that was his first, at bat as a member of the Baltimore Orioles.
What if he lost the ball in that big ball wash they got out in right field?
When he hits them, they tend to go a long way.
May have gone over it. No doubt the man has a lot of strength. I'm happy for him. I hope he goes over there and does extremely well. Just simply did not fit into the picture here any longer for the Red Sox.
Slowly up the middle, charged by Trammell. And the Red Sox go in order for the second straight inning. Morris has now retired 7 in a row. After 6, Boston 4, Detroit 2.
Rock and roll is okay, but I prefer rap.
Awesome. Wait a second. Shady Acres was supposed to get the Coke, and the frat house was supposed to get the Pepsi.
Coke, Pepsi, what's the difference?
I-24.
This is radical.
It's Mercury's Motor Mania, a momentous event at your Lincoln Mercury dealer. Save mountains of money on Mercury Sable Sedan and Wagon, $1,700. Or amass meaningful savings on the full-size Mercury Grand Marquis, $1,400. Magnificent! Imagine a multitude of Mercuries with monumental savings. You'll marvel at your Lincoln Mercury dealer's Motor Mania. We mean to move these Mercuries fast, so make your move today, because nothing will move you like a Mercury. See your New England Lincoln Mercury dealer today.
This could be the year the Bruins break through. The Boston Bruins face off against the Hartford Whalers in Game 3 of the Adams Division semifinals, Monday night at 7:30 on TV 38.
As we go to the 7th inning on opening day at Fenway Park, let's pause for station identification. This is the TV 38 Red Sox Network.
This is WSBK, TV 38, Boston.
Roger Clemens has thrown 95 pitches through 6 innings. He'll face the bottom third of the Tiger order in the 7th. Gary Ward, Chet Lemon, and Dave Bergman. The Red Sox lead 4-2. This is just the start of a big day for sports on TV 38. Bruins and Whalers. Game 3 of the Adams Division semifinals tonight at 7:30 from the Hartford Civic Center. Ward fouled the first pitch he saw into the first base seats. Gary's 0 for 2 today, has grounded out and struck out.
Roger could find himself at a good, nice spot here. Not that the bottom part of this Tiger order can't do damage to you, because certainly Ward can and Lemon can. But you're looking at the 7th, 8th, and 9th hitters in the 7th inning following a struggling inning for him in the 6th. Like to have your starter have that somewhat easy 5th and easy 7th if he can.
Well, ideally, you'd like to see him have an easy all 9.
Well, yeah, but not many lineups are going to let you do that.
No, that's for sure. A little bit of a problem with everybody getting on the same page. In a moment, there's a disturbance in the third base seats that has diverted the attention. Quite a disturbance indeed. Ward lines one into center. Burks makes the running catch. Looked like he had trouble picking up the ball, but finally Ellis Burks did for the first out of the 7th inning.
Ellis broke back of the ball nicely and then started to glide. That ball either really fooled him or he didn't pick it up right away, because Ellis has to put it back in gear once again and then just barely makes the over-the-head catch. Almost an over-the-shoulder catch, but that's what speed will do for you. It'll make up for a mistake or two. Ellis turned, had his feet crossed just a bit as he made his initial break, but then got straightened up and used the speed that he has to recover.
By the way, the reason for the buzz you hear in the ballpark and the disturbance a moment ago, there's a young lady, rather scantily clad, I guess would be the way to describe it, who was leaning out of the balcony. And that was drawing a lot of attention.
She was really leaning out of the balcony.
Yes, she was. Chet Lemon, 0 for 2 today.
Still looks like Clemens has a pretty good fastball, even he's here in the 7th inning and now over 100 pitches on the game. Be kind of interesting to see, although Rob Murphy is the one up and throwing in the Red Sox bullpen right now.
Lemon's gone swinging, 5 strikeouts for Roger Clemens. 2 outs in the 7th with Boston leading 4-2. I think Joe Morgan's going to make a pitching change right here. He's on his way to the mound and was looking toward the bullpen.
Well, Chester will get rung up on the strikeout. The handful now for Roger Clemens this afternoon.
Well, here we see perhaps the effect of the shortened spring with Roger Clemens now over 100 pitches. Joe Morgan isn't going to let him push himself. He'll remove Clemens with 2 outs in the 7th. With the score, the Red Sox 4 and the Tigers 2. We'll return to Fenway Park right after this.
The Orient needs something. The West has it. The problem for CSX transportation, to get it there on time. The answer? A 9X computer system. Sophisticated. Global. So in Tokyo, soybeans can be made into tofu, just in time for lunch.
Guest Quarter Suite Hotel can take you away from it all with exciting weekend getaways. For as low as $79 in Waltham and $99 in Boston, we'll welcome you at a manager's reception with complimentary hors d'oeuvres. Stretch out in a luxurious 2-room suite with all the amenities. The next morning, enjoy a delicious breakfast for 2. Have fun in our swimming pool and health club, or just relax in our whirlpool or sauna. All for as low as $79. Call Guest Quarter Suite Hotel 1-800-424-2900 for a weekend to remember.
Swing into the 90s with the Boston Red Sox. Plenty of exciting baseball action awaits you at Fenway Park, so order your tickets today. Call the direct charge line at 267-1700 or group sales at 262-1915 and use your MasterCard or Visa. If you prefer to purchase your tickets in person, visit the Red Sox ticket office at Fenway Park or stop by the Red Sox Clubhouse store in the Burlington Mall. Whichever method you choose, be sure to act early. Tickets are selling quickly.
Rob Murphy on now in relief of Roger Clemens. And he's set to go to work against a pinch hitter. Ken Williams is batting for Dave Bergman. And he swings to the first pitch. And he's thrown out by Jody Reed. So Murphy gets the job done very quickly, coming on to get the final out of the inning. 7th inning stretch on opening day at Fenway. And some well-deserved congratulations for Roger Clemens. He departs with the Red Sox leading 4-2.
How do you get real premium beer taste in a non-alcoholic brew? You start with a real premium beer. That's how Anheuser-Busch makes new O'Doul's. O'Doul's is carefully brewed, fully fermented, and cold-aged. Then the alcohol is naturally removed, retaining all the great taste. So how do you get real premium beer taste in a non-alcoholic brew? Ask for an ice-cold O'Doul's. O'Doul's, the taste will win you over.
Going home. Going home. The road is leading to your door. To all the things you've been waiting for. Going home with Citgo.
Citgo detergent gasolines. Keep your car running smooth and clean, especially when you're going home.
Going home. Monday!
Monday!
They're back!
They're better!
Than ever!
More speed! Baseball!
Play ball!
Hockey!
This could be the year!
Buffalo Bell!
Bryant!
Joe Fitzgerald!
Upton Bell!
More speed!
What'd you say?
More speed!
Monday night right after Bruins hockey!
Monday!
Monday!
On TV 38! Just watch it!
The true story filmed on board the ship where it happened. Voyage of Terror, the Achille Lauro Affair, a movie loft event. Coming to TV 38 Tuesday, May 1st.
4-2 Boston as we make our way to the bottom of the seventh. The sellout crowd settling back into their seats. And we'll take a look at the True Value Hardware Store's out-of-town scoreboard during the inning. Had a sneak peek at a couple of scores as Kevin Romine stands in and takes a ball. Romine 2 for 2 with a couple of doubles, and he scored after doubling in the second. Jack Morris beginning his 7th inning. He pitched only 7 innings in 2 starts combined this spring. Paul Gibson is the lefty who has joined Ed Nunez.
Fans in the bleachers, please remove.
Romine now waiting as they remove a banner from the center field fence. Romine 2 doubles and both hit very solidly. That one a spinner, glances off Morris. He'll have to hurry. Got him. And the Red Sox dugout in an uproar. Joe Morgan on the steps of the dugout, and I think he has a case.
I think he does too. Looked like Kevin Romine was safe on the play. Well, will they have the benefit, of course? Benefit that Morgan or Greg Koss doesn't have. We'll have a chance to have another look at it. A cue shot. It'll run up the arm of Morris. Now, it goes a long way from him. He's got to chase it. His momentum is taking him away from the throw.
Oh, safe.
Safe. I got to
Nearly
say.
safe. And let's do away with the old adage that's popular among some baseball broadcasters. The replay shows the umpires right 99% of the time. Because they don't. And they aren't. They're right a lot of the time. But on a call like that, they should not be wrong. But they missed a lot of spring training. And they're just winding into mid-season form perhaps themselves. Wade Boggs the batter. And he's quickly ahead in the count. 3 balls and no strikes. Wade has started the season, as you would expect, with 2 hits in 2 official trips. He's also been intentionally walked. He scored a run and driven in 1 with a couple of singles. Red Sox lead 4-2. We're in the 7th, 1 out, bases empty. 6 hits for Boston, 3 for Detroit. And 3 for 3 for Wade Boggs. Mosby over to it quickly. Boggs will try for 2. Here comes the throw. Safe. Hit number 1,600 of his career for Wade Boggs.
And he's pulled the ball 3 times today. All 3 of his base hits have been to the right side. This is a double because Boggs makes it a double right there. As soon as he puts the bat down and starts running, he's thinking 2-base hit. He'll take a little stagger step to hit the bag properly, and he's headed for second as soon as he made contact and come out of the batter's box. Well, he checks in with his first double of the year and his 3rd hit.
And as we mentioned, 1,600 career hits for Wade Boggs. And obviously, he wasn't too pleased relinquishing his batting title last year, and he is starting out with a vengeance toward recapturing the American League batting crown. Runner in scoring position for the first time since the 4th for the Red Sox. Marty Barrett at the plate. 1 strike the count.
Oh, look at Boggs turning the bag at first. He's got the play right in front of him. He had it in front of him all the way. Throw just a little late as Trammell gets the tag applied up around the rib cage area, and the head first slide has Boggs the double.
Wade led the majors last year with 51 doubles. That's his first of this season. Barrett's out on the shallow fly to right, and Boggs has to remain at second. Marty's now 1 for 4. He singled and scored back in the first inning. If we can, let's sneak a peek at the rest of the True Value hardware stores scoreboard. You saw a couple of scores. Baltimore 3-0 over Kansas City now in the top of the 3rd on the Sam Horn home run. Just underway, Milwaukee at Chicago. Fazio against Perez. Tonight in the American League, Toronto's at Texas. Stottlemyre and Ryan. Seattle at California. Holman against Blyleven. Minnesota at Oakland. Anderson and Stewart. And an intentional walk will be issued to Mike Greenwell, who is 0 for 3 this afternoon. Second walk thrown by Morris, and both have been intentional. And as we mentioned, Sparky Anderson regularly uses the intentional walk. To make that the 3rd walk, I'm sorry, he had the 1 unintentional walk back in the 1st. To Ellis Burks after the drop pop-up, as a matter of fact, by Cecil Fielder.
The 12.
In the National League this afternoon, Pittsburgh has reclaimed the lead from the New York Mets. That's a 5-3 advantage for the Pirates. They're in the 5th inning. Eddie Van Slyke has homered. Howard Johnson and Barry Lyons have accounted for all of the runs for the Mets with home runs. San Diego and Los Angeles, Hurst and Hershiser, Philadelphia and Chicago, Montreal and St. Louis, Cincinnati and Houston. The nighttime starts in the National League. Ellis Burks at the plate, 1 ball the count. Ellis walked and scored in the 1st after Cecil Fielder dropped his pop-up and foul ground that kept Ellis alive. Since then, Burks out on a fly ball to left, and he's also grounded to short. 2 on with 2 outs. Boggs the runner at second. Greenwell at first. In the 7th, 4-2 Red Sox. Morris misses well outside. 2 balls and no strikes. Morris made just 1 start against the Red Sox last year and went the distance against them on September 24th at Detroit. Line to right field, sinking fast. Lemon can't make the play. Boggs is in. Greenwell on his way to 3rd. Burks in the 2nd barely. And the Red Sox have a 5-2 lead.
Chet Lemon, as I mentioned earlier, playing awfully deep out in right field. He'll have quite a run to come to get to this ball, and doesn't quite get to it. It'll go underneath him. Actually, off the heel of the glove. Looked like the ball went underneath him with the naked eye. That ball stayed up long enough for him to handle it. Doesn't. And now the Tigers make another mistake here. Instead of this ball being cut off, they should have let it gone through. Burks will stop right here. Now, he's a dead duck, but the ball's cut off by Whitaker. And that allows Burks to move on into second, where the Tigers would have been out of the inning, and perhaps Morris still in the game. But as it is, he's exiting. More importantly, the Red Sox have their 5th run of the ball game, and Ed Munez will be coming on for the Tigers.
With the score, Boston 5 and Detroit 2. You're watching Red Sox baseball on the TV 38 Red Sox Network.
There are a lot of gasoline credit cards, and a lot of them are the same. But this one is different. The difference is you don't pay more than the cash price. The difference is you get the best-selling gasolines in America. The difference is the people behind the card. Shell. Experience the difference.
The New England England Blazers are in the World Championship game. Coors Light and Major Indoor Lacrosse present the Blazing Z-Force in their first championship game appearance versus the defending world champion Philadelphia Wings. Friday night at 8 at the Centrum. The stage is set for the championship game showdown for the North American Cup. The Centrum will be rocking from the opening face-off to the Blazers' final goal. Don't miss the most exciting night in New England lacrosse history. Be a part of the home field advantage as Coors Light presents the New England Blazers versus the Philadelphia Wings.
You know, when you got it right, you got it right. Whether you're talking about this, or whether you're talking about the one and only Diet Cola that does it for Ray, Diet Pepsi. You know, nothing tastes as good to me as Diet Pepsi. All right, now, who is the wise guy?
Diet Pepsi with 100% NutraSweet.
Now, that's the right one, baby.
Today's game is brought to you in part by your local Shell station. Stop by and experience the difference today. And by Diet Pepsi, the right one. Nunez on in relief of Jack Morris.
Signed as a 15-year-old right-hander by the Seattle Mariners originally. He's seen time in the Yankee organization. Spent his time last year between Detroit and the Toledo Mud Hens, a AAA affiliate of the Tigers. 3-4 for Detroit last year in 27 games with the save. One time he could really rush it to the plate and still has pretty good velocity.
Trying to keep the Tigers close. They trail by 3, but the Red Sox have 2 runners in scoring position for Dwight Evans with 2 outs here in the 7th. Evans 1 for 3 with a bases clearing, bases loaded double in the first. 5-2 Red Sox. And the pitch a ball. 2 balls, no strikes. They've posted an error for Lemon and no hit for Burks, so apparently the official scorer felt he should have caught that line drive to right field. Evans with a fly ball, center field. Mosby appears to have room as he drifts back to the warning track to make the play. 1 run for the Red Sox in the 7th, and after 7, Boston enjoys a 5-2 lead.
A journey through the old country. Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, Virginia. This year, your vacation begins with all the thrills and pageantry of Europe long ago at Busch Gardens. Come visit the old country and more, here in the heart of Virginia. Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. All the fun of Europe, only closer.
Braking power. The Ford Escort versus the Chevrolet Cavalier. Recent independent tests of braking ability show that from a speed of 60 miles per hour, the Ford Escort will brake to a complete stop in 138.3 feet. The Chevy Cavalier slightly more.
Hurry to your New England Ford dealers for great savings on Escort. Get 6.9 financing plus $750 cash back.
Saturday, April 14th is a special opening day for kids at Fenway Park. As a treat, the Red Sox have invited several Looney Tune characters to come out to the ballpark to celebrate Bugs Bunny's 50th birthday. The first 15,000 kids 15 years and younger will receive a special commemorative visor to mark the occasion. So why don't you come out and join the party? Tickets can be purchased by calling the direct charge line at 267-1700 or group sales at 262-1915. Fans can also stop by the ticket office at the ballpark or the Red Sox clubhouse shop in the Burlington Mall.
Today's game is brought to you in part by True Value Hardware, your store of first choice. And by Busch Light, the easiest drinking light beer around. Well, if you're scoring, charge Chet Lemon with an error. Not a double for Ellis Burks and no RBI for Burks, as Boggs scored in the 7th. Tough play for Lemon, but an error nonetheless.
Long run for him, but it appears here really he should have caught the ball. With the ball hitting him up on the heel of the glove, he just did not handle it. ball's up plenty high, even though it is down in the moving parts. It's not an easy play, but it is a ball that he should have handled. Big run for Boston there.
An unearned run, rather. Morris gave up 5 runs while he was in there, but only 2 earned on 7 hits in 6 2/3 innings. Walked 3, struck out 2. 2 of those 3 walks were intentional. Both starters today worked 6 2/3 innings. Rob Murphy's worked 1/3 of an inning, and he's facing the top of the Tiger order in the 8th. Tony Phillips at the plate with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. He's 1 for 3. Had the first Tiger hit when he led off the 6th with a single up the middle. And he scored the first of the 2 Tiger runs in the 6th. Murphy came on last inning and threw 1 pitch to retire Ken Williams on a ground out. That's the second error of the ball game by Jody Reed. Big turn by Phillips. He got almost halfway to second before returning to first. So a rough start for Jody.
Seems to lay back on this ball just a bit, and he allows the ball to play him rather than him playing the ball. He comes up, the ball stays down. He shortens that distance just a little bit. He takes that ball on a much higher hop. Had time to do so, elected to lay back, and it goes right through the legs for the error.
So now each side has committed 2 errors. Both Boston errors committed by Jody Reed. And the batter is Alan Trammell.
I was wondering a bit earlier, but Joe Morgan has answered it for me now. When you got to this situation, the ball game for the closer, who would be the first one up in his bullpen? Well, as I look out there now, I see Big Lee Arthur Smith loosening.
There's Big Lee. 1-1 to Trammell. He's 1 for 3 with a double in the 6th, and he scored the second of the 2 Detroit runs. Line score reads 5 runs, 7 hits, and 2 errors for Joe Morgan's Red Sox. The Tigers 2 runs, 3 hits, and now 2 errors. With the error by Lemon in the bottom of the 7th. 2-1 to Trammell.
Rob, I feel, still can be very effective getting right-hand hitters out. That good hard slider. It may not be that effective early in the year because
Trammell in the air to center. Room for Burks. 1 out.
Murphy would perhaps suffer more so than a starter by not getting enough innings of work during spring training. And that sharpness of the slider, getting it down and in on right-hand hitters, and he must do that to be effective against right-handers. Any left-hander must. That may not be quite as sharp as he would like it. I feel during the year when everything is equal, he will be very effective in getting right-handers out to keep you from necessarily going to a bullpen for maybe 1 or 2 outs before you really would like to get there.
First pitch to Lou Whitaker. Fastball poured right down the middle by Murphy. Whitaker 0 for 2, but does have a sacrifice fly on a very shallow fly to center. That drove in the first Tiger run of the game. Scored the man now at first, Tony Phillips. A ball low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Rob struck out more than a man an inning last year. Struck out 107 in 105 innings. And the first reliever, Red Sox reliever, to strike out more than 100 since 1982. When Mark Clear struck out 107.
Phillips the runner at first with 1 out in the top of the 8th inning. Boston 5, Detroit 2 in the first game of a 3-game series between these 2 clubs here at Fenway Park. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The next 2 games of this series will be seen on Nesson. Mike Boddicker goes for the Red Sox tomorrow afternoon against Kevin Ritz, and on Wednesday Jeff Robinson will oppose John Dobson. One-two pitch, a little bit low and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Red Sox did have a reliever earlier in the 60s who struck out 181. Of course, I don't think that would be a big surprise to anyone. Dick Raditz,
the monster,
turning that one in. That was in 1964. He struck a lot of guys out just by being in the game. I'm talking about before they ever stepped in the batter's box. They knew they were struck out before you walked in.
Well, Mickey Mantle said that the monster was the toughest pitcher for him to hit, and that's high praise indeed. Loop to shallow left. Greenwell makes the catch. 2 outs now in the Tiger 8.
45. Cecil Fielder, first base fielder.
Now Cecil Fielder. 0 for 2 with a walk. Struck out in the second, walked in the fourth, and bounced back to the mound in the sixth.
Joe, really, Morgan really has the Tigers between a rock and a hard place here. If Murphy can retire Fielder, that would set him up to start the ninth off, facing a couple left-hand batters in Mosby and Noakes. Now, the only real strong right-hand bat on Sparky Anderson's bench is Tracy Jones, who will bat from the right side. So Murphy could really do himself well here to retire Fielder.
Rob missed just outside with the first pitch to 26-year-old Cecil Fielder. High and away. 2 balls, no strikes. In the National League, the Pirates have taken a 6-3 lead over the Mets. That's now in the top of the 6th inning at Shea Stadium. Bobby Ojeda has replaced Dwight Gooden. Fouled straight back, 2-1. Fielder had been a Toronto Blue Jay. Broke into their organization in 1982. Spent all of 87 and 88 in the big leagues with Toronto, but didn't play in many games. 82 games in 87, 74 games in 88. And with Fred McGriff, the main man at first base, Fielder went to Japan for a year. Now he's back with a big contract for the Detroit Tigers.
I don't know how many players have done that, but it's not a common thing to have a player leave the U.S. and go play in Japan and then come back and play in the U.S. For the most part, players have ended their careers in America.
That's ball 4 high. And that brings the tying run to the plate with 2 outs in the 8th. Smith is ready if needed, but with the left-handed Mosby standing in, Murphy will carry on. Mosby walked in the second, grounded out in the fourth, and singled to center, driving in the second Detroit run in the 6th. Boston has a 5-2 lead. The Tigers with 2 base runners with 2 outs in their half of the 8th. Mosby with a pop-up. Boggs has room. And Murphy works his way out of trouble in the 8th. On to the bottom of the 8th. Still Boston 5 and Detroit 2.
Like you, your car has a heart, the engine, and it has valves where deposits can form. The right diet can make a difference. Fill up with Mobil Super Unleaded Plus. Its detergent formula can unclog vital engine parts. For power and performance, get Mobil Super Unleaded Plus and drive your engine clean. Get a box of hefty cinch sack trash bags with every fill-up of 8 gallons or more of Mobil Super Unleaded Plus.
If it's out there, it's in here. The 9X Yellow Pages. Why would anyone need another?
Fans come out to Fenway Park to watch the Red Sox battle the Detroit Tigers on Tuesday, April the 11th, and Wednesday, April the 11th, or April the 10th, excuse me, or Wednesday, April 11th, and receive a colorful 1990 Red Sox calendar. Great seats are still available, so stop by the ticket office, the Boston Red Sox clubhouse shop in the Burlington Mall, or call 617-267-1700 to purchase your tickets today. Mosby with a chance to do some damage. He'd driven in a run in this ball game earlier. Pops the first pitch up from Murphy and trying to do a little coaching along to that baseball, but it didn't work, and Boggs shagged it in front of the Detroit dugout, and that was it.
Much to the delight of the crowd of 35,199. Standing room only crowd on opening day at Fenway. 35,199. Watching Billy Joe Robideau make his Red Sox debut. He's 0 for 3, and he fouled the first pitch from Nunez off the mask of Matt Noakes. That crowd of 35,199, just 144 shy of the record for the largest opening day crowd, which was back on April 14th, 1969. 35,343 if you didn't feel like doing the math. Bounced down to first. Fielder beats Robideau to the bag. One out of the Boston 8th. The Red Sox lead 5-2. They have 7 hits to 3 for the Tigers, and each side has committed 2 errors.
The third, Tony Pena, catcher.
Now Tony Pena. He's 0 for 3. This part of the order has struggled today for the Red Sox. Robideau 0 for 4, Pena 0 for 3, and Reed 0 for 3. At the moment, they're combined 0 for 10. Pena goes toward the wall and just fouled.
Well, let's see Tony Pena allow that pitch to ever slip by. Something a bit up and soft. Jumped on that one and just squeezes it foul. No, shall not pass up there, boys.
There probably aren't too many hitters who would lay off.
No,
you're
like not kidding.
Mr. Nunez got away with a mistake. Little looper, shallow right. That's falling in for Tony Pena's first Boston Red Sox hit. Tony wants the baseball. It is being retrieved for him. Greg Kosk, the first base umpire, rolling it into the dugout, where it was fielded by Rich Zawacki.
First American League hit for Tony Pena. He'll take one that's working down and in on him and just shove it off of him, kind of flare it, and do short right field. And the Red Sox now have their 8th hit.
Jody Reed with a fly ball to right. Lemon with the play. He throws to first, and Pena is back. Reed's now 0 for 4. 2 outs in the 8th. A runner at first for Kevin.
First American League hit for Tony Pena. He'll take one that's working down and in on him and just shove it off of him, kind of flare it, and do short right field. And the Red Sox now have their 8th hit.
Jody Reed with a fly ball to right. Lemon with the play. He throws to first, and Pena is back. Reed's now 0 for 4. 2 outs in the 8th. A runner at first for Kevin Romine, who should be 3 for 3. He's 2 for 3 officially with a pair of doubles in each of his first 2 at-bats, and he scored in the second after doubling. Last time up, he had a solid shot back to the mound that glanced off Morris. Morris threw down to first, and the replay showed that Kevin beat it out. He was called out by first base umpire Greg Kosk. One and 0 to Romine. Nunez over to first. Pena back safely. Tony stole 2 bases in spring training. And he said, don't be surprised if he tries that fairly regularly during the regular season. Fouled away. 2 balls, 1 strike. Now Romine will have to wait as Matt Noakes has gone to the mound. Talk things over with Edwin Nunez. Paul Gibson, who was warming up earlier, is again throwing in the Tiger bullpen. A little bit low and away. And Romine's ahead 3-1. Sun's trying to come back out now, and there might be a little bit of a shadow problem here in a few moments. Romine in the shadows, Nunez in the sun. That's ball 4 high. So Romine's been on board 3 times. Sparky Anderson has watched his pitchers throw 4 watts, but he's ordered 2 of them. And he wants Noakes, you saw the signal, to go out and talk again to Nunez, perhaps just buying some time for Gibson with the left-handed swinging Boggs, the next hitter. Boggs has had a perfect day. And I think we're going to see Sparky on his way to the mound here. And we will. And he'll bring Paul Gibson into the ball game to work to Wade Boggs. Now that Guillermo Hernandez has left Detroit, Paul Gibson will be the main lefty out of the pen for Sparky Anderson. Nunez leaves after 1 inning of relief. 1 hit and 1 walk so far. He leaves with runners at first and second and 2 outs in the Red Sox 8th inning. Boston has a 5-2 lead.
Number 48, Paul Gibson.
Paul Gibson on his way to the mound to join the Dean of American League Managers, Sparky Anderson, who has guided the Tigers since June 14th of 1979. The only manager in the majors with a longer reign is Tommy Lasorda of the Dodgers, who took command of the Dodgers in 1977. Sparky, the 10th winningest manager in history with 1,758 wins. But last year, a most difficult one for him. Had to leave for 2.5 weeks to get away from it all as the frustration of the mounting losses began to affect him.
He said he learned something. I asked him that. I said, did you learn something about what happened last year? And he said, yeah. He said, I used to think that I had a lot to do with whether a club won or lost. He said, I found out last year that that was not the case necessarily. He said, 1984 kind of fooled me with that. He said, well, I didn't feel like I had a ball club that was capable of doing what it did. And he said, I felt like I had something to do with it. He said, but I found out real quick that those names that go on that lineup card are far more important than the guy who puts them on it. So you look at left-hander Paul Gibson coming on for his efforts against Wade Boggs. Boggs, by the way, hit .295 against left-handers last year, so it's not always a great move to go get a left-hander to face Wade Boggs. Gibson, as Sean mentioned, now the big guy out of the, as far as the left side is concerned, out of the Tiger bullpen. There's also Jadon Gleaton in that bullpen for Sparky Anderson. In Detroit last year, Gibson won 4, lost 8. Didn't have any saves. He started some games for the Tigers, 13 of them, as a matter of fact. And he's not an overpowering type pitcher. I wouldn't call him a dart thrower either. He can be a little bit tough on left-handers because of a somewhat sharp breaking ball.
He pitched 10 innings of spring training and allowed 4 runs earned on 8 hits, 5 strikeouts and no walks. And he's the 3rd Tiger pitcher of the afternoon. If you're just joining us, the Red Sox grabbed the lead against Jack Morris in the bottom of the 1st. They loaded the bases for Dwight Evans, who ripped a double to the triangle in center field. That cleared the bases. Boggs, Barrett, and Burke scoring. Red Sox had it another in the second. Romine a double, and he was singled in by Boggs. Then the Tigers got two in the sixth. A single by Phillips, a double by Trammell. A sacrifice fly by Whitaker scored Phillips. A single by Mosby scored Trammell. The Red Sox won last inning. A double by Boggs. And then he scored when Burks had a line drive to right that Lemon could not handle. Lemon charged with an error. Boggs perfect on the day, 3 for 3 with 2 singles and the double. He's also been intentionally walked. He's driven in a run and scored twice. 2 men on, 2 outs. Bottom of the 8th. 5-2 Red Sox. 0-1 the count to Boggs. In the 9th, the Tigers have Matt Noakes, Gary Ward, and Chet Lemon as the 3 scheduled hitters. 1 ball, 1 strike. Boggs' double in the 7th was career hit number 1600. Two balls, 1 strike. Inside, 3-1.
One thing the left-hand pitcher coming into a game doesn't want to do facing the tough left-hander is get behind in the count. All of a sudden, the edge is gone for the left-hander, and that's exactly where Boggs finds himself now. Well up in the count, the edge is lost against the left-hander.
And now the count is full, and with 2 outs, the runners will be running with the pitch. Tony Pena is the runner at second, and Romine at first for Wade Boggs. Runners go, and that is fouled off the glove and mask of Matt Noakes. Boggs, a down year last year by his standards, a great year by the standards of mere mortals. Wade hit .330 a year ago. His lifetime batting average .352, 4th best all time, behind only Ty Cobb, Rogers Hornsby, and Joe Jackson. Again, the runners take off, and Boggs lines it foul into the left field seats. Center field. Mosby makes the catch just in front of the wall. The Red Sox threaten but do not score in the 8th. Wade Boggs is retired for the first time in 1990. We go to the 9th with Noakes, Ward, and Lemon due up for Detroit. It's Boston 5 and Detroit 2.
Who's got the marketing plan? I do. Sales forecast.
Right here.
Presentation boards?
Murphy's got
Where's Murphy?
This is the final boarding call for Delta Flight 6.
Maddie Klein knows careers are riding on Delta flights.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes. Better go.
Nobody told me you had a cast.
Nobody knew.
Passengers should now be on board.
Maybe that's why more business people fly Delta than ever before.
Mr. Murphy, you have a nice trip.
Thanks. Already had one.
Delta, we love to fly, and it shows.
In all of Boston, in all of the United States, in all of North America, in all of the world, there will only be one winner. be the year.
Sean McDonough with Bob Montgomery back at Fenway Park. It seemed during the last half inning that Larry Barnett was hearing some words from the Tiger dugout. He was occasionally looking into the dugout and gesturing as if to say, what do you want me to do? Just seconds ago, Sparky Anderson came onto the field to speak with Larry Barnett, and that conversation continues. Don't really know what the Tigers' complaint could be about. This conversation should not be about balls and strikes, because you can't argue balls and strikes. It's the automatic ejection.
Well, maybe they're just talking about balls and strikes. Maybe Sparky's not really
But not arguing them.
about
Yes.
Said his greatest opening day was his very first. He stood next to Gene Mauch in Cincinnati as they introduced the starting lineups. By tradition in Cincinnati, they award the managers with a big wreath of flowers, and Gene Mauch reached over and tapped him on the leg and said, Sparky, never forget this day. It'll never happen to you again. The reason that was so big to Sparky, as he told me today, because he had so much respect for Gene Mauch, and to think that here was Gene Mauch giving him a bit of philosophy, being a new manager into the major leagues. Mike Kinnaman in your picture there, loosening in the Tiger bullpen. Sparky said he never had really a bad opening day. He said obviously he's had many losses, but nothing he could ever think of that was really a bad opening day.
Tracy Jones pinch hitting for Matt Noakes against Rob Murphy. And he takes a strike on the outside corner. Jones hit just 167 in spring training, 4 hits and 24 at bats. Came over to the Tigers last year from the National League. In a trade with the San Francisco Giants, Pat Sheridan went to the Giants, and Jones came from San Francisco to Detroit. A little bit low, 1 ball and 1 strike. That was in June, and Tracy Jones played in 46 games for the Tigers and did 259. In the air to right, Romine. 1 out in the 9th. The Red Sox with a 5-2 lead. The Tigers have just 3 hits this afternoon. Lee Smith is warming up again in the Red Sox bullpen. So apparently if Murphy needs help here in the 9th, it'll come from Smith, not Jeff Reardon. Gary Ward, 0 for 3. Ground out, a strikeout, and a line drive to center field. Oh, and 1 to Ward. Chet Lemon will follow. One ball, 1 strike. Murphy appeared in 74 games last year. That tied him for 3rd in the major leagues in appearances. Got off to a bit of a slow start, but then really turned it on and basically showed he's a terrific pitcher.
Oh, boy. He became a little frustrated about the very thing that I spoke about him earlier, about getting some right-hand hitters out. He knew he could get them out.
Tomahawked into left field by Gary Ward. Past the dive of Jody Reed. Ward's first hit of the season. That'll put the tying run in the on-deck circle for Detroit with 1 out in the 9th inning.
Ball really roped by Ward. Obviously, at this point in the count, Murphy does not want to get to that part of the strike zone with Ward, and Ward didn't miss it. He rung the bell.
Almost forgot to shed the shin guard, but now he hands it over to longtime first base coach Dick Trzeski. Ken Williams came on as a pinch hitter. Was the first man Murphy faced back in the 7th and swung at the first pitch, grounding out. That's to shallow center. A long run for Burks, but he's there and makes the catch. That was Chet Lemon, pardon me, I believe I said Ken Williams. Williams will bat next. Lemon's now 0 for 4. Let's pause now for station identification. This is the TV 38 Red Sox Network.
This is WSBK, TV 38, Boston.
Now Ken Williams will bat, as Joe Morgan and company can sense the Red Sox first victory of the season. And if you remember what I said a moment ago, Williams came in against Murphy in the 7th and grounded out on the first pitch he saw. 0 for 1. Rob Murphy trying to pick up his first save of the year. He's over at the belt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Red Sox trying to snap a 4-game losing streak on opening day. Two balls and a strike to Ken Williams. He could keep it alive. Tony Phillips would hit next for the Tigers. 3 balls, 1 strike. And now Pena wants a word with Murphy.
Pitchers who are on the borderline of having somewhat of a herky-jerky motion will perhaps suffer a bit more control-wise with the shortness of spring training than a pitcher who has more of a fluid delivery. They have more things to go wrong, obviously, and not enough time to get the timing and everything worked out. And Murphy doesn't really have a herky-jerky motion. There's a lot of moving parts when he gets ready to come to the plate. You see a lot of elbows and knees, a lot of turning.
Many of the fans on their feet now. Red Sox 1 strike away from victory. With the count 3-2 and 2 outs, Ward will be running with the pitch. Red Sox lead 5-2 in the 9th. And the 3-2 pitch. Low for ball 4. And Joe Morgan is quickly out of the dugout. And he's going to go to the bullpen for Big Lee. He was hoping that Murphy, who's pitched well in this outing, would be able to pick up a save for himself. But with the tying run now coming to the plate, the big man will come on. Two innings for Rob Murphy. He walked 2 while he was in there. Gave up 1 hit.
You hate to see at this point in the ballgame is a base on balls because it somewhat changes the batting order. You look quickly down the line. Smith will be coming on to face now. Tony Phillips will switch around and bat from the left side. But then you have Trammell, who represents home run type power. And by that base on balls, you put Trammell back into the batting order if something cannot be quickly done with Phillips. So that base on ball sometimes can really be a big one from the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. You really hate to see your relievers wind up with a base on ball. Big Lee, of course, the man out of the Red Sox bullpen the last 2 years, a total of 52 saves in those 2 years with the Red Sox. Last year in 64 appearances, struck out 96 batters in 70 2/3 innings, winning 6 and losing 1, and 25 of those 54 saves coming last year for Big Lee. He had a string which Jeff Reardon is now on, broken the previous year, 5 years or more of 30 or more saves. But he was awfully sharp in spring training. He was just, well, he was just Lee Smith.
Most impressive indeed. He was 2-0 in the spring. Struck out 8 1/3 innings. And I think it comes as a large surprise to a lot of Red Sox fans that he is still in a Red Sox uniform on opening day. Red Sox certainly have been involved with several teams talking trade involving Lee Smith. But to this point, there has not been an offer that has compelled the Red Sox to pull the trigger on a deal. And with this man, Jeff Reardon, now also in the bullpen, Lee Smith becomes a tradable commodity. But you're right, the way he pitched in the spring, it'd be tough to see him go. You have to think he would be a very valuable member of the pitching staff, but can the Red Sox afford to have 2 premier closers when they have such a glaring lack of depth in the starting rotation. Big question in the 4th and 5th starter spots. Tony Phillips, 1 for 4, singled and scored the first Tiger run in the 6th. He was leading off that inning, and his single in the 6th was the first hit given up by Roger Clemens. He now represents the tying run at the plate. 5-2 Boston, 2 on with 2 outs in the Tiger 9th. And if you're curious, Phillips is not much of a long ball threat, just 4 home runs last year and 451 at bats. Strike 1. Smith paints the black on the outside of the plate.
The outfielders now should be thinking along the lines that the runners on base mean nothing to me in this ball game. It's the guy at the plate that I want to prevent from getting into scoring position. So they'll be thinking a bit deeper. Their thoughts will be backpedaling rather than coming into charge a ball.
High and away, a ball and a strike. In the Detroit 9th. Boston has a 5-2 lead. 5 of Lee Smith's 25 saves last year against the Tigers, his highest save total against any team a year ago. The 1-2 pitch. Bounced up the middle. Reed back of the bag. Flips to second. Not in time. Williams with the head first slide. And the bases are loaded. The tying run at first, and the go-ahead run comes to the plate with 2 outs in the 9th.
Bouncing ball just out of Reed. Reed really had to back up, give a lot of ground in this ball to get to it. And by doing that, he couldn't get himself uprighted to get anything on the throw to Barrett. Everybody's safe, hustling base running. With 2 outs, of course, as a runner in the base, you have an advantage because on the swing, you can go. You're free. Plus, it was a back runner. Kenny Williams represents a back runner, so he has a bigger lead from first. This is the guy you don't want to see at the plate.
Alan Trammell, 1 for 4 with a double. And this brings back many memories of opening day 2 years ago, Lee Smith's first season with the Red Sox, when Alan Trammell, on opening day at Fenway, in a battle that started with Clemens and Morris, hit a home run off Lee Smith in the 10th inning, give the Tigers a 5-3 win. Lee Smith lost his Red Sox debut. 2-0 is the count. Gary Ward, the runner at third. Ken Williams at second. In first base, Tony Phillips. That's a strike. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Alan Trammell may be figuring that this pitch is a bit high, but you're hitting in that 2-0 situation in this ballpark in a very stiff breeze at the time he took that pitch. They have to jump on that Tiger. He might like to have that pitch again. I'm sure he would.
Now the 2-1 offering. Straight back. And for the third time, The Red Sox are one strike away from victory. They are also one swing away from a potential nightmare. Just the first of 162 for Joe Morgan, but this one certainly taxing his nerves.
Oh, a different look from Smith.
Joe Morgan and the Red Sox end a 4-game opening day losing streak, and Lee Smith dropping down with 2 strikes on Trammell. Got Trammell to swing and miss for strike 3. And the Bostonians survived the scare in the 9th inning. The final score, the Red Sox 5 and the Tigers 2, and we'll return to Fenway in just a moment.
Rocket science is hard. New Busch Light is easy because it's cold filtered to make it the easiest drinking light beer around. So after a hard day, remember, New Busch Light is easy, which makes it a very easy choice. Let's review. Playing dodgeball. Ooh, that's hard. New Busch Light is easy because it's cold filtered to make it very easy drinking. New Busch Light is easy. This would be hard, so make the easy choice.
This could be the year the Bruins break through. The Boston Bruins face off against the Hartford Whalers in Game 3 of the Adams Division semifinals, Monday night at 7:30 on TV 38.
What do you want on your headstone, Joe? What do you want on yours, Palestinian?
Innocent Americans held hostage. Terrorists brought to justice. Burt Lancaster, Eva Marie Saint, Robert Culp, Rebecca Schaefer. Filmed on location, on board the ship where it actually happened. A true story. A Movie Loft event. A world premiere motion picture. Voyage of Terror, the Achille Lauro affair. Coming to TV 38 Tuesday, May 1st.
The Red Sox didn't hit any home runs in today's opener, but there's always Friday night's game against the Milwaukee Brewers. Every time a Red Sox player hits a home run during a TV 38 televised game, you can win 2 tickets to a Red Sox home game and a case of Diet Pepsi, the right one. You'll also be eligible for a grand prize at the end of the season. To enter, just send your name and address on a postcard to TV 38 Pepsi Home Run Sweepstakes, Post Office Box 500, Boston, Massachusetts, 02135. Today's Budweiser player of the game is Boston starter Roger Clemens. 6 2/3 innings of work. He picks up his first win of the season, his career 96th. No hits for the Tigers through 5 innings for Roger. Congratulations to Anheuser-Busch. And Rocket, this Bud's for you.
The totals for this afternoon's opening day for the Red Sox: 5 runs, 8 hits, and 2 errors. They left 8 men on base. For the Tigers, 2 runs, 5 hits, and 2 errors. They stranded 9, including leaving the bases loaded in the 9th inning. Roger Clemens, the winner. Jack Morris, the loss. And Lee Smith came on to pick up the save. Time of the ball game, 2 hours and 47 minutes before a standing room only crowd of 35,199. Plenty of heroes in this ball game for the Red Sox. Monty mentioned Roger Clemens and his strong 6 2/3 innings. The offensive star of the day was Dwight Evans. Had 1 hit and 4 trips, but his 1 hit the biggest hit of the ball game. With the bases loaded in the first, he rips a double to the triangle in center.
Well, the matchup against Evans and Morris, or with Evans and Morris, is still very evident. Big blow for the Red Sox in this ball game, those 3 runs, and they'll clear the sacks as Burks scores all the way from first on the 2-base hit.
Other stories of the day, certainly before the ball game, the reception for Bill Buckner, greeted with a tremendous standing ovation from the sellout crowd. Wade Boggs had 3 hits and 4 trips today, now has 1,600 hits for his career. He also scored twice and drove in a run. And Kevin Romine looked sharp at the plate. The Red Sox a winner on opening day, and it was a dramatic ending, but a game that the Red Sox until the ninth seemed to have in control throughout much of it.
You feel that they certainly had it in control. I think they feel that they had it in control. Big confidence builder for Kevin Romine, facing one of the toughest pitchers in the 80s to wind up with a couple of doubles against Jack Morris this afternoon.
And so the final score of this afternoon's game is Boston 5 and Detroit 2, and this is the TV 38 Red Sox Network. We hope you'll join us again Friday night as the Red Sox take on Milwaukee Brewers in game 1 of a 4-game series here at Fenway Park. That ball game comes your way at 7:30. Till then, for Bob Montgomery and our producer-director Tom Tedisco, Sean McDonough saying so long from Fenway Park in Boston, where this afternoon the Red Sox beat the Tigers 5-2. We invite you to stay tuned next for DuckTales. This has been a TV 38 Sports presentation.